Assistant Professor, Triple IT Nagpur, our esteemed guest speaker today for today's FDP. With wealth of knowledge and expertise in the field of deep learning, data analytics, and machine learning, we are ready to delve into an insightful session together. Now, I would request Professor Sonal Babukule ma'am, Head of CSE, to present Memento to start. Please.
Thank you.
Sir, you can start the session.
Yeah. ऐसे लगाना है क्या? आवाज चली गई। Yeah, so welcome to all. So good morning to all.
Good morning.
So thanks for coming to this session because it is very difficult to gather people nowadays after COVID-19. So we are also experiencing this particular problem at Triple IT Nagpur, where we are also organizing a workshop and people are not turning up. So we thought to in means to communicate to the like AICT or all big organization, these kind of things are happening so that they can make the people or the organize or the principals or the director of the institutions to make their people to be avail the facilities that are created by your organizations or other organizations. Okay, so yeah, the today's topic of discussion is yeah again. हाँ, कितना है स्लाइड में हो रहा है उधर नहीं So we'll be discussing on data analytics, classification, and clustering. These are the two things. Altogether, there are these are the big topics. Data analytics itself a big topic, which is itself a course. So we do have one course on data analytics and visualization at our institute. So just I try to make in what way means I try to justify the things, right? Okay, because it is really very big things to be get discussed, right? नहीं वो तो चाहिए वो बड़े स्क्रीन में आना चाहिए फुल स्क्रीन एक मिनट एक मिनट ठीक है okay so these are the content that I'm targeting at this point as per the time which is allotted to me we'll look into the what exactly a data analysis and the analytics all together then the machine learning the different tasks in machine learning and data analytics tasks then I'm targeting to two particular topics that is the classification and clustering and with respect to that we will going to see certain hands-on or certain case studies right so we'll look into what exactly this data analysis stuff is so so there are various definitions you can find here and there and we are also utilizing those kind of definitions sometimes we are using the definition from books and sometimes we are taking the definitions which is amalgam from different resources so data analytics and data analysis it involves generally the you are going to massive unsorted data or unstructured data right and the objective is to get the insightful information out of that nothing else there is no big what we can say the rocket science in that it is simple you are having a data and I want a meaningful information and that for business is nothing else this is this particular data analytics or data analytics is came only for businesses nothing else okay even if you consider your organization and you want to find out in what way your organization behaves so that is the business for higher people right they will do the business in what way your placements are going on, what way the peoples are retaining in the institutes, and in what way there will be a progress of your institute, or what could be the vision for coming 30, 20 years or 10 years. So this is all about, we are not analyzing in that particular way, but there is a business. Simple example to give a simple example I want to give regarding that. The moment you search anything on your smartphone, it keeps on following you, right? जब तक आप खरीदते नहीं हो आपका पीछा नहीं छोड़ता हो. So ultimately, you are the customers, okay, and everyone is watching you what you are doing, and based on that, they are giving you some particular table arranged so that you can dine in. और डाइनिंग फ्री में नहीं होता है so you have to pay for that, right? So here just we want to find out, so across this particular session I'm helping you towards to analyze the data and find out the meaningful insights out of that, so that insights will help you in terms of the decision making that can be done by the organizations. It can be any size of organization, two people, three people organization, or 100 people, or 1000 people organization. They require a kind of insights, whatever the data they have. Based on that, they can have their different what we can say avenues, or they can take certain decision in terms of increasing their productivity or increasing their business. So this analytics or analysis is all about that only, right? So if let's say so before to move into what exactly data analytics, let's understand what is the particular procedure, okay, what we or the industry are supposed to follow, or you supposed to follow, right? So if I take a question, I take a first process and as the process of data analysis, if I pose at this particular point which is says that define the question or goal behind your analysis, you have to have some particular object, right? So suppose you might be working in the particular domain, let's say that domain is biomedical domain, or that domain may be a image processing or computer vision domain, right? And you are working on some particular data set, something like that. So you have to have some particular objective in front of you, so that will help you towards to achieve. So you have to pose certain question or a goal behind an analysis, and what type of discovery you want. The discoveries are limited. Okay, take a simple example. Suppose I am having a paragraph and I want only the summary of that paragraph. So that is the one case. So you are limiting yourself. I need only a summary. I don't want other details out of that. I don't want the sentiments, right? So if I say only a summary, so it is a different category of discovery. When I say sentiment, it is a different kind of discovery. So when I say sentiment, it is a prediction task. When I get a summary, it is just a descriptive analysis which I am doing from a particular data which is in hand, right? So there you have to pose this particular question. So based on that, it will help you towards to apply a particular technique which is required. Okay, so that we will going to see when we will see the different types of analysis technique. Then the second question is collect the right data to help the answer, means whatever the question which is there, and to get that answer. Suppose आपको sentiment analysis करना है, and that sentiment analysis you want to do for the products, and you are investigating on some particular tweets, they are something different. So it is irrelevant, right? So you have to find out so suitable data on which that particular question you are posing, and you try to get investigate. Then next one is in the process. So first two things are done. So then you have to find out what that data set is. The moment you are going to get the data set, you have to apply different data techniques, which we generally say a pre-processing technique. In another way we used to say it is a data wrangling. Means we have to look into the data, we have to find out what are the missing things, what are the unwanted things, and that we want to remove out of that. We have to correct out of that. We have to fill certain data if necessarily with the help of some particular technique. So third step, that in the analysis we have to clean the data, because that will going to if the data is not clean properly, so it will not going to improve upon the targets in the sense the performance which you want. Take a simple example. Suppose I have a data where I want to categorize the mail whether it is a spam or not spam, right? So while processing those kind of details, I need to remove unwanted things. Okay, so those unwanted things unnecessarily will not help you in proper prediction. Okay, so that cleaning will be done. Then the next one is just you do the some kind of data manipulation by taking the help of Excel. Most of the time whenever you are working with the machine learning projects, so your data will be alphanumerical data, like textual is there, symbols are there, characters are there. Mean very less chances your data is a image kind of data, your data is audio data, or your data is a video data. When this kind of data is there, you will going to shift from ML to DL, because ML is not that much sufficient to handle those kind of data. Okay, we can do it, but it is having a limitation, and that can be done only by neural network. There is no other opportunity in ML. Okay, whatever the SVM and support vector machine and all other models, they are not sufficient for those kind of data. So the moment your data changes, you shift from the methodology, one methodology to another methodology. So you will going to do manipulate the data using Excel, Google Sheet, and this may include just to visualize. Actually, this is exactly called as the data exploration, which is very required, where that will help you ki what kind of data you have, what is the count of that particular data. If you have a relation, means you will take one particular parameter, and with that particular parameter another parameter you want to visualize, so you will try to see all the details that are there in the particular data set. So the another part, which is the fourth point, data exploration, we have to do, where you have to plot the data in different what we can say graphs or pie charts or in some different ways, right? So that will help you. Array mera data aisa hai. So that is very required, because with that only you will try to understand which model you need to apply in the set of models whatever you will going to have it. Then the next is analyze and interpret data using a statistical tools. So this is very required step, which is the where you are finding the correlation. What are the trends that you are finding in the data, which helps you to have their relevance, wherein the most of the time we are applying that dimensionality reduction kind of stuff. Means whatever is irrelevant, remove it, and that irrelevant can be identified with the correlation. One parameter, how is the correlated with another parameter. So there we are getting an opportunity in terms of removing the outliers. जो काम का नहीं उसको निकाल के you take the things what is required and you process it. And then the next one is present the data in meaningful way in the graph or visualization, which is it will be the report or the manager or department head, something like this. So the last step where we are targeting that present the data in the form of graphs and visual charts. Here exactly, here it will going to have many things. The process data you are visualizing, moreover some data analytics you have performed, and on top of that you are producing certain results. So when you are performing data analytics, so you are requiring some kind of machine learning algorithms, where the graph representation or the representation of data in the form of visuals as well as some particular insights. Okay, because इसके पहले तो हमने data को visualize कर ही लिया है. But after that, after pre-processing the visualization once again, and then applying the data analytics, which is machine learning on that, so that you can have a kind of the inferences or the insights wherein you can able to take the decisions. So with this, that is a simple procedure that is a follow across all the kind of data analytics projects you will going to do. If you are doing the job, the task related to deep learning or the other whatever the data means, which is image processing data, or it is a video or audio data, so that time this particular steps will be little differ. There I need not to do much visualization, because मेरे पास एक ही type का data रहेगा. Take an example of suppose you are working in cancer detection. So image cancer की रहेंगी, उसको आप कैसे भी देखो वैसी रहेंगी. उसमें ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा ये कर सकते हो कि what are the different classes that you can see it. If it is a binary class, so that also you need not to visualize. By looking, just you will going to have the count कि cancerous वाला इतना है, non cancerous वाला इतना है. In that way only you are visualized. So there data visualization is not required. But when the data wherein you are having large number of parameters in your data, which is in the form of flat file or text file or the CSV file, there the visualization is very important, because there you will identify in what way a particular parameter having a relation with another, where you will going to know the strongness of a particular parameter or the column value, right? So now moving towards the type of data analysis. So once again, I at the first slide itself, I pose one question: what particular task which you want to do it? So the once again, what is the key objective of data analysis? Why really you want to do it? Once that is clear, so there are the options. You choose one option, nothing else. Okay, so your objective has to be very much clear, or your target has to be very much clear what you are trying to do it with respect to data. तो वो अगर clear है, so out of this just I'll going to choose one of the technique. So there, that depends on what type of data analytics skills you are using, and we are having total different kind of data analytics technique: descriptive, exploratory, diagnostic, predictive, and then prescriptive. So as per question, you will take one, okay, or as per your skill, right? Because you will keep on acquiring the skill, and then based on that skill, उतना ही आप कर सकते हो. आपको prediction आता ही नहीं तो आप prediction करोगे ही नहीं, right? So and based on the question says the prediction, so then you have to acquire the skill. Okay, so what exactly these all types that we will going to learn. So the first descriptive analysis says that here you will going to have the question what happened. This is the question. Under this particular technique. This is the one technique, right? So the goal of descriptive analysis is to just summarize the data whatever you have. Anyway, whatever the kind of summarization, suppose I have the data of this particular organization, I want to summarize. Okay, some particular task is given, you just summarize it. Okay, they are not asking ki, how many rankers were there, just they are asking to summarize. Okay, so likewise what you will do, you will going to have the data, you will try to summarize in the form of points, so it is a summary, that's all. We are just giving a bigger description in smaller version, that's all, right? Where the question, you can see the example, include monthly revenue report of and just KPI dashboard. So what is the monthly revenue report? इस मंथ का इतना था, इस मंथ का इतना था, पूरा साल का इतना, दैट्स ऑल, नथिंग एल्स. उसमें मैं कुछ प्रोसेसिंग वगैरह कुछ नहीं कर रहा हूँ, जस्ट bigger bigger description I am putting in smaller versions. Okay, that is the first. Second one is exploratory. Here we want to start exploiting the data. So exploratory analysis talks about bit deeper than whatever the first technique which we have seen, where what we do, it scheming for detectable patterns and trends in data. That means now here you are looking into the data. अभी आप ग्राफ बनाना चालू कर दोगे. You will start using that matplotlib or other visualization tools where you will just look into the data, how that data is, whether data balance है या imbalance है. Okay, because जब आप visualize करते हो, suppose एक क्लास ज्यादा इतना और एक क्लास इतना है, so there is no need to do experimentation. इसको भी यहाँ तक लेके जाना पड़ेगा. So some kind of data balancing technique you need to adopt so that it will be balanced. Not exactly 50-50, but there is a 5 to 10% variance you can have it. So अगर ये 60 है तो ये 45 तक भी रहा तो it's okay. That balance has to be there. So in the exploratory analysis, I am doing some descriptive analysis on my data, but on top of that, I am visualizing what are the different patterns and trends my data having. Okay, so another way it is thinking that initial investigate. So this is the first investigation phase where you will look the data in all the senses. Okay, that is one. Then next is this, the diagnostic analysis. As the name suggests, diagnostic means क्या हो रहा है अभी मुझे पता करना है. Okay, so takes the insight found in both the descriptive analysis and the explorative analysis, and it will investigate further to find the cause. Okay, what is the cause behind why the system is behaving like this. Okay, so it will going to help you to find out the cause. So once you will know the cause, you will take the different record some particular actions. So to have that particular cause to be identified, you must know what is your descriptive results which we got from the first technique, what are the data exploration which you have done, and then you will know यार यहाँ पे ऐसा cause है. Simple example जो मैंने आपको दिया, suppose you are having a data set and it is a 2 class binary class data set. Okay, दो classes है उसमें, you have visualized ये 80% है और 20% है. अभी आपको पता चल गया ना आपका data imbalance है. So now you will, so you, what you will do, you will take some you will take some action on that कि उसको अभी मुझे balance करना है. So whatever the different techniques by which we can generate the data, those techniques I'll apply and I'll going to make the balance. Now अभी ये data लेके मैं आगे बढ़ूंगा, right? Then after that, if there is some another things, so accordingly I'll going to investigate. So let's say I'll apply some particular model और वो model अच्छा behave नहीं कर रहा है. So what I'll do, I'll try to go for another model. So likewise, there will be a different inferences which are coming in between. They are helping you towards what could be the cause at that particular point, and to solve that cause, you will apply some particular action. So यहाँ पे आपको cause पता चल गई, right? Then the next is, most of the time we are applying this most of the time, which is predictive analysis. मुझे अभी prediction करना है कि मेरा डेटा है spam है या नहीं है. So I'm doing some kind of work. So this type of often more data, so it is used by the data analytics or data scientists or the people they are doing the research. कि मुझे prediction करना है. Prediction means find out certain results wherein you will make some particular machine learning algorithm, okay, on the seen data, and you will provide the unseen data, and for that unseen data it try to determine belongs to which particular class, class B, A or class B. So that is the predictive analysis. So under predictive analysis you should be very well known, means you must acquire the knowledge required to develop a model. पहले तीनों के लिए आपको जरूरत नहीं, but इसके लिए you have to know what how the machine learning model works, how I can implement the machine learning model, and how I can able to improvise the machine learning model by performing some hyperparameter tuning or all other stuffs. So here you can see the example. It includes sales forecasting or the risk assessment. That means I want to find out with respect to my business whether it is at risk or not, or what could be the forecast for the particular weather or the particular sales in coming days based on whatever the history I do have. So there I am making some kind of prediction, some results. And the last one is the prescriptive analysis. It is the amalgam of all. You require everything. You should know what is the question. You must do what is the data exploration. You must do what is the cause. You must predict. And then once you will do this, on top of this, you will going to take the best action, okay, to solve the particular problem in hand. So for prescriptive analysis, it is taking all the type and determines best course of action. It will help you to best course of action, because अभी आपके पास सब कुछ है, आपने prediction भी ले लिया, आपने cause भी identify कर ली, you are having whatever the particular question and you have explored the data in all the senses. So now with this thing you will going to do this. So generally for this there is a some separate people of separate group of people. For this there is a some separate people, like they are the designers, and for this there will be a separate people, they might be these people, okay. So likewise, and these are the actually these are the decision makers, the managers. सब कुछ बना के दे दो भैया, अभी आप बताओ क्या करना है. So in that way we are having a total 5 categories over here. So this is exactly the different tasks or the types which we can say. Now moving towards data analytics methods. अभी मुझे method मालूम होना चाहिए, right, by which I can really able to analyze the data methods. So first one is, which is very known to all, that is a cluster analysis, where just we are organizing the data in the form of groups and we are making the clusters based on some common characteristics. So this is most of the time this is heavily adopted or heavily used, you can say, because of the one reason, we may not have the label data, okay. अगर label data नहीं है, so we have to find out what my data is first of all. So there this particular technique is getting utilized, where based on some particular similarity try to find out the similar data. So वो उसमें class ही बना देता है, 4-5 class जितने भी class होंगे. So that is the first technique. So in the first technique we are not expecting my data is a label data. Now the second technique is a regression analysis, or which is also called as a classification kind of stuff. So here it is a statistical process wherein it examines the relationship between two or more variables. So just the number of variables that are given, based on that it helps you. So it gives you the kind of probability. एक probability आपको दे देता है, and based on that probability you can determine. So if it is a binary classification kind of problem, so you will going to have the probability. Based on that you will say that it belongs to a class A or it belongs to class B, or likewise if it is a multi-class problem, so in that case whatever the probability, based on that it will tell in which particular class it is. So this is another analysis technique. Next one is a factor analysis, which is in other way you can call this is a PCA principle, that is not PCA, it is a dimensionality reduction kind of stuff. ये भी हमें लगता है. So where the condensedness of several variables into just few to make a data analysis easier. So here in the third one, when we are doing a data analysis method, you are having a large amount of parameter. It is better to investigate on that and try to apply some dimensionality reduction approach. Like it can be a PCA approach or some other approaches that are available, so that you will going to get only relevant parameters which you can analyze. Next is a data mining, which is a very old technique, but this extended towards the new what we can say the techniques or the domain, which is we generally used to say data science, right? Where everything comes. If I say data science, it is a data mining, it is a data exploration, it is a machine learning, everything comes. So in that, what really we want to do, we want to just find out the trends and the pattern and the correlation between the large data, whatever the patterns that can be, right? And based on that, so you can apply different techniques. Even that ML also comes in data mining only. This is the one particular technique by which you can get the pattern or you can get the correlation. And then the next is a text analysis. So this is in the text analysis, which is one branch you can consider, where we are aware about that. The name of that branch is natural language processing, where textual data you can have and you can extract the textual data from the given text. That could be a PDF, that could be a word processing document, or it can be from in the email, which is unstructured and which you will going to present in the form of machine readable. And there you can do different tasks, which can be summarization, which can be a sentiment analysis, which can be a name entity recognition, which can be identifying the biological terms. Okay, so very various different things can be done once you will extract the data which is available in different textual formats. So these are the different what we can say, uh, the different methods we can use it. So most of the time, based on the data what I have, I'll going to use it, right? Now just we move towards what data science, because that must be known, because there's everything lies in data science only, though we used to say data analysis. So it is just a proactive use of data and advanced analytics for driving the better decision, nothing else. Okay. So I require the data and I require the analytics techniques, so that I can offer good decisions to the decision maker, and wherein it is everything is data driven. तो अगर आप किसी प्रोजेक्ट में काम कर रहे हैं, अगर डेटा ही नहीं है तो आप काम नहीं कर सकते, राइट? दिस इज नाउ डे, दिस इज द फैक्ट. Suppose you are working, you want to work on some mental health data, and that is not readily available. So either you have to find it out or you have to generate that data. So most of the time, you might get some mail from some NIT or IIT where we are doing on this particular project. You fill the data. So in that way, these people are gathering the data. So everything nowadays data driven, and with that particular data, most of the time the data work. We are nowadays we are working with the interdisciplinary domain. We are taking the help from computer science. We are taking the help of statisticians. We are taking the help of mathematicians, and then we are trying to come up with a kind of a solution. So it is a data driven, where your data can be structured, unstructured, and where our objective is just try to extract the knowledge, and we supposed to get the insightful data out of various structured and unstructured. So in the data science trends analysis, what understand actually the phenomena is a data. More is data. पूरा data ही data है, बाकी और कुछ नहीं है. And therein, like if you are working in the textual text analysis, let's say text analysis. So as we know that the data which we have, which is in the form of English language, right? Which we cannot directly supply, right? We require to understand what could be the different embedding techniques that can really helps to understand that particular data by the model. Okay, you might knowing that one hot encoding and other. So those things you need to investigate on top of the model before the model you are creating, right? So what this particular slide talks about, we need to understand the data. We need to know in what way my data will be represented, because the representation important. Ultimately, in machine learning and deep learning, the main what we can say task is feature extraction. Okay, machine learning में we are not much targeting on that, because हमारे feature directly available होते हैं. Directly available होते means you are having a CSV file, you are having a column, these are your features. उससे ज़्यादा आपके पास और कोई feature नहीं है. But the moment you change the domain, let's say I'm working in an image processing domain, so feature extraction is exclusive, right? So if I give a image and suppose there is a image and I want to recognize a face, so मुझे face वाला ही pixels चाहिए, मुझे बाकी पिक्सल का कुछ लेना देना नहीं, right? So there the task is very prominent in terms of the extraction has to be in a such a way that more prominent features must addressed, and they need to be provided to the next training phase, because as you know that whenever we are having a machine learning models, so we are training, right, for some amount of iterations. So through that iterations, we are nurturing that particular model in terms of providing a good results. बिकॉज लर्निंग इज थ्रू एक्सपीरियंस. सो जो एक इटरेशन लिया वो आपका एक एक्सपीरियंस है, फिर दूसरा इटरेशन लेते हो वो दूसरा एक्सपीरियंस है. लाइक वाइज द नंबर ऑफ एक्सपीरियंसेस यू गैदर एंड देन यू कम एट अ लेवल, ओके नाउ मेरा मॉडल अभी रेडी है, आई कैन show unseen data to my model so that it will going to predict the results out of that. So this is exactly the particular model which जनरल मॉडल वेयर द डेटा साइंस कम्स इन पिक्चर. इस तरह से ही आपका मॉडल हमेशा रहेगा, और कोई अदर अपॉर्चुनिटी नहीं है. यू विल हैव द इनपुट, यू विल हैव द आउटपुट, and then there will be a machine learning model. So I have made here machine learning model, so it can be any model, it can be deep learning model. Okay, so don't you restrict दिए यहाँ पे ML का ही मॉडल मैं SVM ही डालूंगा और लॉजिस्टिक रिग्रेशन, इट कैन बी एनी मॉडल. सो मशीन लर्निंग में जितने भी मॉडल होंगे, डीप लर्निंग के, जनरेटिव एआई, ऑल दैट कैन बी हियर. सो हियर व्हाट वी आर हैविंग इनपुट एंड वी आर हैविंग आउटपुट, हमने दे दिया. एंड देन ऑन टॉप ऑफ दैट वी आर हैविंग अ मॉडल एंड दैट मॉडल इज made available after training. So that's why right hand side you are able to see the representative model. That means the model after training. On that we are giving a input which is X, which is unknown or unseen. And then by that it is predicting Y bar. So Y bar is not my Y, but it is a near to Y. So where I can able to get the error in between Y bar and Y. So from Y and Y minus Y bar I will do going to do, so I will get error. So that error minimization will going to happen here, then it will going to give you the representative model. यानी हो गया उसको, उसके बाद उसमें हम कुछ ऑप्टिमाइजेशन कर ही नहीं सकते, एज पर योर स्किल एंड एज पर द नॉलेज यू हैव अक्वायर्ड, राइट. उसको, बिकॉज वंस वी वर्क ऑन अ पर्टिकुलर मॉडल, हम एक ही डायरेक्शन में सोचते हैं, ठीक है. सो बाय दैट वॉट एवर द नॉलेज यू हैव, योर मॉडल इज रेडी. बट वेन यू आर वर्किंग इन अ ग्रुप एंड यू आर टॉकिंग, अरे मेरा मॉडल ऐसे बिहेव कर रहा है, ये पैरामीटर ऐसे, so then you get one more, some more, what we can say discussion and help on that, and then by that you can improve, चलो ये करके देखो. So by that you are keep on improving the model and you will have the representative model at last, where X will be the unseen or the unknown and it will try to predict Y, and that prediction has to be as near to Y. उसका error हमें कम से कम करना है, right? So this is the particular way you can model. Now next is what are the different tasks that are expected under this data science. So where it is basically categorized in two, that is a supervised and unsupervised, that you are knowing over here, wherein these are the different tasks which you can easily do over here. From the data, you can do regression, you can do clustering, you can do association analysis, anomaly detection, recommendation engine you can build, deep learning kind of stuff you can do, time series analysis, text mining, feature extraction, classification. Now, as per your choice, or as per your likeness, or as per your interest, you choose. कोई एक choose करो and start working. Okay, and try to find out your peers, they are also interested in that particular domain. So once you start working in a group on a particular objective and keep on discussing and try to implement the model, so in that way you can be a contributor in that domain, because हमको contributor चाहिए, एक आदमी सब कुछ नहीं कर सकता, right? So out of this you can see, okay मुझे anomaly detection में काम करना है, right? And then recommender system or the deep learning stuff or something like this. So this particular slides helps you. अभी आप में आपको इसमें से जो कुछ मालूम है उसमें आप काम कर सकते हैं, right? So the moment in that, just start investigating what are the literature that is available and what you can contribute. Yeah, so this is about the generic introduction of data analysis and data analytics, and you can say what we data science. So now moving towards, so without ML, there is a no data analysis possible ही नहीं अभी के जमाने में तो भी. Okay, because of the latest technology which we got with the revolution in Python programming and that the use of AI and ML in all the domains. So our next topic of discussion is the machine learning and data analytics task. So before to move into the machine learning, let's get into what exactly a machine learning and how it helps. So this is the definition which is given by Herbert Simon. It says that learning is any process by which system improves the performance from experience. आपको इम्प्रूव, आप अगर पेपर भी पढ़ते हो तो एक पेपर पढ़ा तो दूसरे पेपर में आपको कुछ ना कुछ इम्प्रूवमेंट दिखता है, इसमें कुछ एक्यूरेसी 85 है तो दूसरा कुछ पेपर में 90 का एक्यूरेसी, दैट मीन्स सिस्टम इज कीप ऑन इम्प्रूविंग, राइट। विद दैट पर्टिकुलर इंप्रूवमेंट देर इज अ चेंज इन द टेक्नोलॉजी, तो इम्प्रूवमेंट आपका 100% तक भी पहुंच गया है, लेकिन लोग वहां पे रुके नहीं है। पीपल आर नॉट स्टॉप देयर, राइट। आपका एक्यूरेसी 99 भी आ गया तो भी लोग रुके नहीं है, दे आर गिविंग सम न्यू टेक्नोलॉजी, एंड देन विद दैट पीपल स्टार्ट इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग एंड ट्राई टू अचीव द रिजल्ट्स, राइट। सो nowadays ml there is in a boom that you are knowing, and this is the definition which is given by the person who's a Tom Michel. This is the famous book of machine learning which is followed by across the globe, everyone follows this particular book, where mathematical definition says that we want to improve the performance p. Okay, you decide what is p, मॉडल आपको बनाना है, आपको डिसाइड करना पड़ेगा p क्या है। सेकेंड, एट सम टास्क, टास्क भी आप ही को डिसाइड करना है कि ऑन व्हाट पर्टिकुलर टास्क यू वांट टू इंप्रूव अपॉन द परफॉर्मेंस। एंड द सेकंड इज व्हाट इज द एक्सपीरियंस, एक्सपीरियंस मींस द लर्निंग। तो लर्निंग के लिए कौन सा मॉडल, वो आपको ही डिसाइड करना है, नोबडी विल टेल यू। द लिटरेचर इज हेल्प यू what that has been done, and the literature will tell you where is the scope, and then that scope can be improved in terms of improvement in the performance. So by that we will get a definition that learning a task is given by performance, task and the experience. Experience means nothing but the learning which is done by the machine learning, deep learning models, right? So here, just to make you understand what really this particular definition talks about, performance means, अभी मैं आपको दो एग्जांपल देता हूँ, ठीक है। The first example which already I have given, there is a email, I want to detect whether it is a spam or not spam, ठीक है। This is a one problem statement, I want to detect it. So nowadays it is very difficult to detect spam and not spam, because lots of phishings are going on, lots of way the people are forging the similar kind of email and they are sending. We are not able to recognize, and we click on that and we get in that particular trap. ये और दूसरा प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट आई यूज टू गिव, लेट्स से आई वांट टू आइडेंटिफाई वेदर इमेज इज कैंसरस और नॉन कैंसरस, ठीक है। अभी दीज आर दी टू डिफरेंट टास्क, right? Now you have to decide for this task what machine learning or deep learning model you will use, and for this task what machine learning and deep learning model use, and this is you are free, okay। now ये दो टास्क हो गए। now सबसे पहला है improve the performance of p, यानी p हमको improve करना है, right? So let's say, so based on this two tasks, so you might be knowing that there are different performance metrics, right? जैसे एक्यूरेसी एक हो गया, precision हो गया, recall हो गया, then there is a F1 score, right? These are the different performance metrics generally we consider, and some other performance metrics are also there is ROU, and that area under curve RUC, other parameters that comes when the data set changes, right? सब में सब कुछ नहीं लगता, लेकिन सबके लिए सब कुछ हम निकाल सकते हैं, because there is a formula, confusion matrix वाला formula, confusion matrix gives all that TP, TF all, and by that you can calculate it, ठीक है। ये सब हो गया। now your task is there, some task is there, so I am having a two tasks, spam detection and another task cancer detection, so ये मेरा task हो गया। एक्सपीरियंस के लिए मैं मॉडल लगाऊंगा, ओके, आई हैव मॉडल, बट मुझे परफॉर्मेंस के लिए मैट्रिक्स डिसाइड करना पड़ेगा। नाउ यू टेल मी व्हाट कुड बी द मैट्रिक्स दैट आई कैन डिसाइड फॉर माय फर्स्ट प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट विच इज अ स्पैम डिटेक्शन, एंड सेकंड प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट विच इज अ कैंसर डिटेक्शन। क्या चूज करना चाहिए, जो मैंने भी परफॉर्मेंस मैट्रिक्स बताया, एक्यूरेसी, प्रिसीजन, रिकॉल, F1 स्कोर, इसमें से मुझे क्या टारगेट करना चाहिए, बिकॉज दैट इटसेल्फ विल हेल्प यू टुवर्ड्स टू चूज अ मॉडल। सो क्या लेना चाहिए मुझे, किसके लिए एक्यूरेसी, कैंसर के लिए एक्यूरेसी, और उसके लिए ओके, सो कैंसर के लिए प्रिसीजन चाहिए, और स्पैम डिटेक्शन के लिए मींस देयर यू आर नॉट रिलाइंग ऑन एक्यूरेसी इन दैट, तो दोनों का लेके आप कर रहे हैं, यानी सेफर साइड, राइट? यस और नो? सो लेट्स से देयर यू आर आल्सो टारगेटिंग फॉर एक्यूरेसी, ठीक है, आपने एक्यूरेसी ले लिया स्पैम डिटेक्शन के लिए, एंड देन लेट्स से कैंसर के लिए भी आपने एक्यूरेसी ले लिया। सपोज एट दिस पॉइंट यू आर नोइंग दैट ओनली, मुझे एक्यूरेसी टारगेट करना है, क्योंकि हर पेपर में वो एक्यूरेसी बात करते हैं, इसका एक्यूरेसी मेरा ज्यादा है, मेरा 5% ज्यादा है, मेरा 7% ज्यादा है। तो सपोज आपने डिफॉल्ट में सोच लिया कि मुझे एक्यूरेसी टारगेट करना है। अभी जैसे एक्यूरेसी टारगेट करना है, सो लेट्स से इन द स्पैम डिटेक्शन एग्जांपल, नॉट स्पैम इज डिटेक्टेड एज अ स्पैम और स्पैम इज डिटेक्टेड एज अ नॉट स्पैम, क्या होगा? हाँ हाँ, नहीं नहीं, कंक्लूजन मैट्रिक्स छोड़ दो। वो सब आपने कर दिया, आपका मॉडल बन गया। मैं जस्ट अभी आपने मैं आपको अननोन डेटा दे दिया, ठीक है, उसमें दोनों क्लास दे दिया मैंने, स्पैम वाली भी दे दिया, नॉट स्पैम वाली भी दे दिया। बट व्हाट योर मॉडल इज डूइंग, स्पैम इज डिटेक्टेड एज अ नॉट स्पैम एंड नॉट स्पैम इज डिटेक्टेड एज अ स्पैम, तो क्या होगा? एक्यूरेसी का कुछ है ही नहीं। वो प्रिडिक्शन ही रॉन्ग कर रहा है, आपका मॉडल प्रिडिक्शन रॉन्ग कर रहा है, एंड दैट दैट बाउंड टू हैपन। आपका मॉडल 100% दे ही नहीं सकता, दैट बाउंड टू हैपन। सो कर दिया उसने, तो क्या होगा सिस्टम में, मैं ये पूछना चाहता हूँ। नहीं, वो कर दिया उसने। मैं बोल दिया उसने प्रेडिक्ट कर दिया, दोनों भी रॉन्ग प्रेडिक्ट कर दिया, तो कुछ इफेक्ट होंगे क्या सिस्टम पे? रिजल्ट पे जाना ही नहीं होगा। कन्फ्यूजन मैट्रिक्स। सो ये कैसा हो गया कि जो स्पैम वाला है वो स्पैम वाले फोल्डर में ना जाते हुए आपके फोल्डर में आ गया, और जो जो एक्चुअल जो अच्छा था वो आपके इसमें ना आते हुए स्पैम में चला गया। अभी इसमें क्या होगा कि जो आपका कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट मैसेज आने वाला होगा, जो इधर आना है वो उधर चले गया। अभी आप वरीड है, ठीक है, यू विल स्टार्ट कॉन्टेक्टिंग जहां से भी वो इनिशिएट हो रहा होगा मैसेज, तो वो आपको जनरली हमारे दिमाग में आता नहीं, बोले सर स्पैम चेक कर लो, है, स्पैम चेक कर लो, वी चेक्ड। सो इससे नुकसान नहीं है, लेकिन एट सम पर्टिकुलर स्टेज देर इज अ सम क्यूएस, ठीक है। नॉट स्पैम, स्पैम जो नॉट स्पैम है, जो स्पैम है वो नॉट स्पैम में आ गया, नहीं अच्छे इसमें आ गया, तो उसमें आपको बस देखना है प्रॉपर है या नहीं, नहीं है तो आप उसको वैसे डिलीट कर दोगे। अभी इसमें कैसा हो रहा, द यूजर्स आर गेटिंग इन्वॉल्व इन फाइनल डिसीजन टेकिंग, बराबर है, राइट? तो इसमें अगर सिस्टम में ज्यादा मीन्स देर इज नो सच हार्म है, एक्चुअली इफ यू लुक, हार्म नहीं है, बट थोड़े समय के लिए आपको एक क्यूएस हो जाएगा। नाउ सेकंड इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट, वेरी डेंजरस, ओके। अभी मैंने दो इमेज दी थी, एक कैंसर वाली है और एक नॉन कैंसर वाली है, दोनों मिसक्लासीफाई हो गए अभी, है ना? तो क्या हो गया, दिस इज रिलेटेड टू पेशेंट, डॉक्टर और मिस सिस्टम पे रिलाई कर रहा है, डॉक्टर इज नॉट एक्यूरेसी, एक्यूरेसी भूल जाओ अभी। एक्यूरेसी तो छोड़ ही दो, नहीं नहीं, ज्यादा एक्यूरेसी पे रहे तो भी यू विल नॉट गेट अ सिस्टम वेयर 100%, एंड इट इज अननोन डेटा, ठीक है। जो अननोन डेटा होता है मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम इट इज रियल टाइम डेटा, जो हमने सीखा होता है वो स्टैग्ड है, स्टोर्ड किया हुआ डेटा है, राइट। सो अभी इसमें दोनों मिसक्लासीफाई हो गए, एंड डॉक्टर रिलाइज ऑन दैट ओनली, जो मॉडल बना है उस पर रिलाई करता है कि इसका जो रिजल्ट है यही है। अब ये दोनों तो मिसक्लासीफाई हो गए, तभी क्या होगा, जिसका कैंसर है वो नॉन कैंसर हो गया, वो घर में आराम से बैठा है, बराबर है ना, उसको ट्रीटमेंट देंगे ही नहीं डॉक्टर, सिस्टम ने बता दिया भैया तेरे को कैंसर नहीं है, लेकिन जिसको कैंसर नहीं है उसको बता देगा कैंसर है, वो टेंशन में नहीं, उसकी ट्रीटमेंट चालू हो जाएगी, टेंशन में तो आ गया। उसकी ट्रीटमेंट चालू हो जाएंगी। तो ये वाले केस में यू हैव टू टारगेट ऑन सम अनदर परफॉर्मेंस मैट्रिक्स, जहां पे मिस क्लासिफिकेशन हैज टू बी एज मिनिमम एज पॉसिबल, जिसमें एक्यूरेसी इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, बट वी कैलकुलेटेड, जिसमें हम बोलते हैं कि मेरा मॉडल इतना, लेकिन वहां पे जो अगर आपका टारगेट होना चाहिए कि योर मॉडल शुड मिस क्लासीफाई एज मिनिमम एज पॉसिबल, क्योंकि वो रिलाई उसी पे कर रहा है, तो यहाँ पे कितना डेंजर है। So whenever the moment data set changes, the domain changes, you have to just look into the particular performance matrix which suits well, and उसको टारगेट करना है। फिर उसको टारगेट करने के लिए then you have to look into what kind of learning is required, okay, so that learning itself means how well you can extract the good features, है ना? जो जो मोर टारगेटिंग फीचर्स है उसी को आप टारगेट करोगे, एंड बेस्ड ऑन दैट यू ट्राई टू take the you extract the details and try to find out the proper inferences, okay। So ये थोड़े इसमें, so see here कितना बड़ा ब्लंडर हो रहा है यहाँ पे, right? So the one guy will be relaxed but उसको डिजीज है, और दूसरे गाय को डिजीज नहीं है लेकिन उसका ट्रीटमेंट चालू हो गया। So nowadays systems are automatic and even doctors are not that much, means dermatologist उतना expert नहीं है उसमें, अभी भी 60 to 75% ही वो accurate result देते हैं अगर उन्होंने खुद investigate किया तो. So that accuracy itself is limited accuracy है. So इसीलिए we are requiring the intelligent technique which has to be foolproof, right? Yeah. Now then moving towards, just we will see in this, if traditional programming, if you are taking, so in the traditional programming, what happens? You are giving a data, you are having a program. There is an algorithm which is any different algorithm and it produces the output. But that is not the case in the machine learning stuff. With the data, output is there. So output means आपने label भी दे दिया ना, ये लेबल है और ये आउटपुट है, उसमें वो रिलेशन निकालता है आपका मशीन लर्निंग मॉडल. व्हाट इट फाइंड आउट द रिलेशंस एंड विद दैट रिलेशंस प्रोग्राम दिया मींस व्हाट, दैट रिप्रेजेंटेशनल मॉडल इज रेडी. आपका मॉडल अभी रेडी है विथ व्हाट, द रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन इनपुट एंड आउटपुट. सो आपका मॉडल अभी अवेलेबल एंड दैट मॉडल यू कैन यूज, which can be seen over here. So if suppose input is given as an image and then the features are extracted and then the certain classification has been done, so there we can able to see whether it is a car or not car, something like this. So model will be developed and here that model will do the kind of classification. So this is exactly a machine learning stuff. So in the machine learning side, input and output relation has to be as close or they has to have more intact, wherein the model which you will get at last, which will be helping you to give a proper predictions, right? Yeah. So now moving towards the different data analytic tasks. So in general, in data analysis, there are 4 tasks. दो टास्क तो आपको मालूम है, क्लासिफिकेशन एंड क्लस्टरिंग. सो इन क्लासिफिकेशन जस्ट इट इज द सेपरेशन और फाइंडिंग द कैटेगरीज. Clustering that you are knowing where we are forming the groups. So first category is applicable on the instances where the categories are known, and the second one is where you do not know what the data is. There is another category where we do the analysis which is called as the pattern detection. Okay, we also used to do the pattern detection which is something comes under the category of data mining. मुझे मेरे पास ट्रांजेक्शनल डेटा है and I want to find out how the customer purchase the items. So where I'll find out the patterns. ये प्रोडक्ट खरीदा, ये प्रोडक्ट खरीदा, ये प्रोडक्ट खरीदा, and I'll see how many such kind of patterns are there in my data set. If it is, so the manager will intelligently take decision. वो सारे प्रोडक्ट एक लाइन में लगा दे भाई, इसने ये खरीदा तो ये खरीदा ही खरीदेगा, right? In the same way, whenever you are going on what we can say on Flipkart or some another websites or you are purchasing a one product, वो एक के साथ दो चिपकाता है, वो आपका कार्ट पहले बना देता है और मार दिया आपने और ओके ओके कर दिया तो साथ में ही आ जाता है. बट वी यूज टू चेक, राइट, एंड उसको आप अनचेक कर देते हैं. सो इट इज दैट ओनली. And then the last one is which is a simulation based, where we are doing a kind of a simulation on the data. Okay, which is most of the time related to that ये अपना autonomous vehicle वाला you can consider, where you can create a simulation environment, try to learn out of this that simulation, and then those results you can have it, and then you try to apply on the real world scenarios, right? So these are the different way data analysis can be easily adopted. But most of the time, as per the what we can say data availability and as per the problem statements, we are either working in this particular domain or we are either working in this domain. Yeah, now moving towards the दिख नहीं रहा होगा, but let's discuss about the type of data. Okay, what could be the different types of data? So this is the one type of data. This is the textual data which you can have, which can be available in a text file or can be available in a CSV file. Then there is another data. ये भी data है network का. Okay, which is a graph data. So you already know that how that graph can be represented, right? Either in the matrix format or the adjacency list. So that can be also data. Okay, where also you can find out the relation between one node and another node, how they are connected, right? And therein you can get the importance of particular node, right? अभी इसमें मैं देखूंगा तो importance of this node is big. इसका importance ज्यादा है because इस network को और इस network को बीच में वो connect कर रहा है, right? So by that also this particular data you can analyze, and on top of this particular data you can apply machine learning technique and you can generate or you can learn the dynamics of network. Dynamics of network means what will going to happen after some time, वो नोड रहेगा या नहीं रहेगा, बिकॉज इंटरनेट इज टोटली डायनामिक, उसको कंटिन्यूसली लर्न करते रहना पड़ता है. एंड नाउ डे ड्यू टू दिस एमएल The people are applying the ML technique on that. तू बताते रहे भाई, तू पढ़ते रहे. You keep on learning. जो learning हो गई, you just keep on giving. So by that, that will given to the kind of routers which are placed in that particular system, and they tell you ये router अभी ये route you can use, and that route has to be a very fast, right? So for this kind of data set, this could be the different objectives, right? Then another data set, this is the graph of the geographical graph you can consider, or the graph of a particular. So here, for this, the objective could be you can categorize the regions, right? So इस तरह का भी डेटा आपके पास हो सकता है. The data can be of like this audio signals, okay? और the health वाला data भी आता है, ECG वाला data, heart rate वाला data. Then you can have data which is with respect to images. This is the frame from the particular video. So you can work on that, and your objective is to detect what activity is going on. So the activity यहाँ पे क्या है? He is playing the ball. Then another kind of data is this is some uh, uh, this is the biomedical data, histopathical kind of data is there. So there also features are there. जो उसमें कलर से वो डॉक्टर को समझता है कि कौन सा कलर क्या काम करता है. So by that color he know उसमें tumor है या नहीं है. So this is also kind of data where you can work upon. Then another data which is summarization data, which is a textual data. Okay. So likewise, different varieties of data are there. Here I have tried to cover all the kind of data. So you can take one particular data on which you want to work, and then you start applying the different machine learning and deep learning techniques upon that. Okay. So here with respect to the data, right? Whatever the data which you have, there will be a different pre-processing technique. Okay. सबके लिए same नहीं रहेगा. There will be different pre-processing techniques required. If let's say I consider this data, so इसमें आप dimensionality reduction लगा के कुछ parameter कम कर सकते हो, right? They in this data, you may reduce the data wherein particular node है वो अकेला ही है. Somewhere there is a one node, यहाँ से यहाँ connected है. Okay, so there is some weight can be calculated on that node, and that can be get eliminated, and you can have only the limited amount of nodes in the network. So likewise, there will be a different pre-processing technique which will be there, which helps you to get the required data for processing or for learning. Now then, moving towards the first what we can say the topic which you say, that is the classification, wherein these are the different things that I am targeting at this point, looking into the classification. So there are various model, but here I am only targeting for these two: decision tree and the Bayesian classification method. Then we will look into how the model evaluation and selection can be done. Then how that can be get improved, and for improvement, to improve the accuracy, there are the different techniques which is called as the ensemble methods. Okay. So as you already aware about that, supervised learning, which comes under the category of classification, where you will train the data, you will observe, and you try to accomplish a particular labels which indicates a class. डेटा दिया है, आपको लेबल आइडेंटिफाई करना है. जितना एक्यूरेटली आप लेबल आइडेंटिफाई करोगे, वी कैन से दैट दैट मॉडल इज दैट मच गुड. एंड न्यू डेटा इज क्लासिफाइड बेस्ड ऑन दी ट्रेनिंग सेट. ओके, जो भी ट्रेनिंग सेट आपने किया है, so new data will be classified into the training set. Similarly, unsupervised learning, where clustering you will do, that means just make a group. In this case, data is not labeled, okay, which is unknown, there is a no class, and then given the measurement, observation, etc, it will try to establish the existence of a class or a cluster. That means clustering से हम क्या कर रहे हैं, हम class identify कर रहे हैं, ऐसा बोल सकते हैं, right? और जो क्लासिफिकेशन है उसमें क्लास दिया है. So if suppose you are having a data which is unknown to you, so what you can do, you can categorize it पहले. तो clustering लगा लो, and then clustering लगाने के बाद then you can think for can I apply a supervised learning. तो ये क्या हो जाएगा आपका semi supervised. So for data gathering or categorization of data, you applied some clustering technique. आपके सारे clusters आ गए, and then you can later on you can apply the classification technique based on SVM or other, and there आप उसमें categorize कर सकते हो. So in that way, so whatever the next time when unseen data will come, तो ऑटोमेटिकली वो कैटेगरी में तो आ गया है वो, so that you have learned also. And once those all labels are be identified, then you can able to categorize the data in different different classes. So इसमें labeled है लेकिन इसमें label आपको निकालने पड़ेंगे. So in that way, so that's why that supervising semi supervising learning concept comes in picture. क्योंकि सिर्फ cluster बना के आप क्या करेंगे? If there is a some other targets, that is some kind of a predictions has to be done. So in that case, or direct clustering can be applied where some unknown pattern is we are able to see it. Suppose अभी मेरा network है और network में unwanted activities हो रही है, so that can be done by using unsupervised because उसमें data available नहीं है, लेकिन I have having sufficient amount of data on which I have learned कि ये ऐसा ऐसा कुछ अननोन एक्टिविटी आ रही है, तो इट इज अ काइंड ऑफ एनॉर्मली और काइंड ऑफ आउटलायर. So that is also the way you can use a clustering, but the mix of supervised and unsupervised, it is you can easily adopt when the at the first stage data is not known to you. So category आपने कर दी है, and then you can just try to classify or the predict the different classes. Now moving towards a prediction problem. So prediction problem can be seen as a classification or which can be a numeric prediction. Okay, आप classify कर रहे हो या it is going to give us some kind of probability. And based on that आप उसको एक particular class में differentiate कर रहे हो. So classification means what? Just predicting a class label which can be a descript or a nominal. Classify data based on the training set which is the class labels, and classifying attributes and use it classifying the new data. So you will have the training data. Through that training data the model will be get trained, and then whenever the new data is there you will going to classify. Okay. Numerical prediction, what it talks about, model continuously continuous valued function, what it does, it predicts unknown or missing values. Unknown or missing values means model keeps on learning. Like take a simple example, अभी मैंने unknown data दिया, ठीक है, आपने मॉडल बना लिया, मॉडल बन गया with the whatever the training data you had, it exhausted, your training data is exhausted, now you got a new data. So new data learn किया, so that learning is also we are putting. Okay, and that data set will going to become the part of the existing one, right? So in that way the numerical prediction can be done, so which is unknown or missing values, that means I want to predict the unknown, and then that is continuous valued function, so that knowledge also we are taking as a part of the model. So there are typical applications, so इसमें से अभी आप एक एक application ले लीजिए और उस पे आपको काम करना है, ठीक है. Your start workings like credit or loan approval, medical diagnosis if a tumor is a cancerous or benign, that is benign or malignant like this, fraud detection if a transaction is a fraudulent, web page categorization, which category it belongs to. Okay, so these are the various applications, and on top of that there are many other as well, right? So the point is, abhi suppose most of the time what happens, you used to get a kind of an application, right? अभी आपको पता चल रहा है कि इसमें यूज करते हैं, आपको भी मालूम होगा, right? And you get inspired or motivated, अरे मुझे medical diagnosis में काम करना है, right? That motive, because to have that kind of motivation for that particular purpose the workshops are getting organized. लेकिन आपको क्या करना है उसमें, you have to find out the literature. Okay, like take a simple example, medical diagnosis, अब अल्जाइमर डिजीज के बारे में आपने सुना होगा, राइट? और पार्किंसन डिजीज के बारे में सुना होगा. सो उसमें ऑलरेडी इतना काम हो गया है और अभी आप उसमें जाने की कोशिश करोगे, so then you're not going to get novel work. So though you are getting inspired by any of the area, just you do the little proper literature कि how much scope is there and currently अभी क्या चल रहा है, ठीक है. तो currently right now as per the domain of deep learning and machine learning, if I talk about the data privacy, medical data private data है, right? So at this current instance the particular trend that is going, it is called as a federated learning, जिसमें आपका डेटा भी सिक्योर रहता है and it is at distributed location. Means take a simple example, you might be knowing that there is a chain of hospitals, right? वो एक सदर में है, एक बर्डी में है, एक यहाँ है. So that's the same. So वहाँ पे different different location they will have their data sets. Means their the servers where they are having the data. Now they want to take a kind of a decision. They want to make a model. Suppose these are servers where they are having the data. Now they want to take a kind of a decision. They want to make a model. Data gather हो रहा है, suppose these are servers where they are having the data. Now they want to take a kind of a decision. They want to make a model. Data gather हो रहा है. Suppose these are servers where they are having the data. Now they want to take a kind of a decision. They want to make a model. Data gather हो रहा है. Suppose these are servers where they are having the data. Now they want to take a kind. What is the major importance of federated learning in terms of medical diagnosis on top of securing the data, where they will learn from this model, they will learn from this model, they will learn from this model with different data values, and then they will aggregate everything at central location. And now at central location they are getting all the knowledge, and then there they will apply some federated learning algorithm, and where they can extract what is the result for that particular what we can say the query which comes as an image. So in that way we have to keep on investigating and whatever the latest trends that are going, because बहुत बार कैसे होता है कि जिसमें बहुत ज्यादा काम होता है ना उसी में चले जाता है, क्योंकि उसके ही पेपर मिल रहे हैं ना, राइट? होता क्या है, आप वो फंस जाते हो, जैसे अभी हो आपने कुछ सर्च किया और जैसे वो आपको फॉलो करता है प्रोडक्ट वो वैसे नहीं, यू हैव टू इन्वेस्टिगेट, जिसमें कम मिल रहा है काम, यू हैव टू गो इट, आपको उसी में जाना पड़ेगा, या फिर जिसमें ज्यादा काम हो गया है तो देन यू हैव टू सी व्हाट इज द लेटेस्ट ट्रेंड, अभी उसमें क्या टारगेट हो रहा है, क्योंकि लार्ज नंबर ऑफ पीपल आर वर्किंग इन वन पर्टिकुलर एरिया, सो उससे अलग समथिंग दैट नीड टू बी डन. सो एज पर द मशीन लर्निंग एंड डीप लर्निंग, अभी मशीन लर्निंग एंड डीप लर्निंग भी एब्सोल्यूट हो गया है. I made this statement over here. The latest technologies are federated learning, meta learning, generative AI. These are the latest one. And that conversational AI, which is nowadays prompt engineering comes in picture. तो ये नए ट्रेंड्स है, wherein LLM भी नया अभी आया है, which comes under as a generative model. So on top of that, the basic machine learning will be there, but on with respect to that, whatever latest is going, that will help you to have your publications. I'm talking this in terms of to have your publication if you are working in that particular domain, and that too not a conference publication, but that too in a good journal publications. So these are the different trends that are happening. Yeah. Now moving towards the classification. So classification is a two-step process. The first one is a model construction. So you have to construct the model. So wherein you will decide what could be your training set, you will decide what could be your model, and you will decide what could be your data set, and based on that you will going to categorize the particular or you will going to have the different model being used. So it can be a decision tree or it can be any mathematical formulation जिसके द्वारा categorization हो सकता है ना, because it is ultimately mathematics. I am not going the detail of the mathematics because that is very much required, but it is my request to you, when you will get a time as per your convenience, और जैसे कॉलेज आपको छोड़ता है तो you dig into one model, रिग्रेशन लीजिए और उसका मैथमेटिक्स क्या है ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड, then linear regression, logistic regression, then what we can say decision tree, all, and just try to investigate वो क्या कर रहा है. So by that it helps in terms of understanding that model correctly. Then next is you have done the model, and then we are next is a model usage. So in the model usage, the future classification, how it is done, that we will going to do it. So generally we are targeting for the accuracy. Just for a representation purpose, I have mentioned the accuracy, but we have already discussed the performance will be depend upon the particular problem statement, right? It could be accuracy, it could be precision, it could be recall, it could be F1 score, it could be ROC, it could be different based on the problem. So as a representation purpose, accuracy. So unknown label will be test on the sample and it will be compared and the results will be identified. Then accuracy, that you are knowing that the percentage of test samples that are correctly classified by the model, and there will be a certain test samples, and that test sample you are knowing that it has to be independent, उसको मॉडल ने इसके पहले देखा ना हो. Okay, so that's why otherwise if it is a known data, मॉडल आपका ओवरफिट हो जाएगा क्योंकि वो प्रेडिक्शन करना चालू कर देगा कि करेक्ट है करेक्ट है करेक्ट है. So most of the time that, so if the accuracy is acceptable, so then we will say that ki, okay, my model is fine. If it is not, so you have to think for some another model, some another improvement. some another technique wherein some dimensionality reduction you can have it, or some another technique which can be ensembling the different model, taking the results from different model, and you can apply some voting mechanism and come up with the results. Okay, yeah. So if the test set is used for selected model, it is called as a validation or test. Okay, that can be. Yeah. So this is the one simple example by which we can consider how the classification or the model construction can be done. So you may have the training data set, right? Then this is the data set which is represented, which is a CSV file data having a 4 columns. Then there will be a classification algorithm. Once the classification algorithm train on the training data set, it will going to give the model which is a classifier, and then that is available with you, and on that you will going to check on some unseen data, and by that it will going to tell whether it is yes or no, or it will categorize in a particular category. So यहाँ पे हमारे पास अभी दो ही कैटेगरी है, yes या no, right? So एक yes या no में वो आपको बता देगा. So to do this, the simple version that can be used, which can be a decision tree over here. So अभी in this example, ट्रेन डेटा सेट क्लासिफायर आपका अवेलेबल है. क्लासिफायर वी आर विल बी एक्सपोज्ड ऑन द अनसीन डेटा आपका दिया है जेफ, प्रोफेसर एंड 4, एंड बेस्ड ऑन दैट इट हैज टू टेल वेदर यस और नो. सो क्लासिफायर, सो ऑब्जेक्टिव है आपको क्लासिफायर्स बनाने, ठीक है, बाय टेकिंग द हेल्प ऑफ डिफरेंट मॉडल. So this is the just brief introduction of classification. Now we'll look in more detail into the what we say, the decision tree. So decision tree with the help of this example. So here this data set is with respect to whether the person will going to buy the computer or not. ठीक है, लास्ट वाला हमारा आउटपुट है यस नो, और वो जो पहले के चार एट्रीब्यूट्स है बाय दैट विल ट्राई टू नो. सो दिस इज द डेटा आपके पास है, ठीक है ना. बिना डेटा से हम कुछ बता ही नहीं सकते, किसी के बारे में भी नहीं बता सकते, मेरे बारे में भी नहीं, किसी के बारे में नहीं, राइट? बिकॉज वेन यू वॉन्ट टू नो समथिंग अबाउट समवन, सो उसके बारे में आप लिटरेचर करते हो, राइट? You want to find out the credibility, so that credibility is given in the form of data set. So data set है अभी, इससे हम tree बनाएंगे, right? So and then once that model, tree means your model is constructed, and then in that model if I'll give unseen data, so then it has to tell, it has to reach to the leaf. अगर वो leaf पे reach होगा, so I'll going to know what is the label, whether it is yes or it is no, right? So this is the data set where computer buying will be happen or not, that we will going to see. So suppose you want to construct a decision tree. So now constructing a decision tree here, these are the records, right? ये यहाँ से लेके यहाँ तक records. So it will start with the first attribute which is called as the age. Okay, you can have any other attribute as well, it is not necessarily यही एक attribute ले सकते हो, and on top of that you have to measure out all the attributes. ठीक है, age ले लिया मैंने, so as per that age there are different categories है age की. So the number of categories, the number of branches, वो बनाएगा, number of branches बनाएगा, right? And then based on that first category वाला is means with respect to age there are three classes, है ना, three classes, less than 30, greater than 40, and in between 31 to 40, three classes. So three branches will come. Based on that, next attribute is income. Next attribute, yeah, what we have considered over here, student, right? Okay, yeah. So we have considered the student over here. So in the student, whether it is a yes or no. So yes or no means it is based on whether that income is high or low, right? So based on that, we are able to categorize, and then based on yes or no, ये फेयरनेस कैलकुलेट होगा उसका, राइट? अगर फेयर है या एक्सीलेंट है, या बेस्ड ऑन दिस देर आर टू कैटेगरीज, फेयर एंड एक्सीलेंट. बेस्ड ऑन दैट एंड दैट the age high and low, no, based on that the tree is getting constructed. So here यहाँ पे आपका student आ गया, यहाँ पे आपका credit rating आ गया, right? So and here there is a S. So once again later on it is divided into three classes. So can you help me how this yes, ये yes कैसे है? Can anyone can help me in that? हाँ. So here this, this. So out of that there are yes no is there. Okay, and the greater than, you see in the greater than, we are having once again two categorization. ठीक है? So what is the understanding of this tree? The understanding of this tree is student, yes or no. Student, yes or no. Student हो सकता है, नहीं हो सकता है. Because based on the value of one particular node, there will be that many branches. तो सबसे पहली ब्रांच हमारी स्टार्ट हुई एज से. So age is having a three classes. So there are three branches. Okay. And then out of that, students has considered. So वो student है या नहीं है? There are two branches. Right? And based on that, yes or no, this fairness will be this buying computer or not buying computers are categorized no or yes. ठीक है? Then age, which is greater than 40. So age greater than 40, which is talking about the credit rating. ठीक है? Credit rating क्या है हमारा? Fair and excellent. So यहाँ पे आपको दो branches आ गए. Fair and excellent. Okay, where it is no or yes. And this is a 30, where this is एक ही रेंज है इसका, दो वैल्यूज नहीं है, है ना. 32 31 एक ही है, उसका कैटेगराइजेशन नहीं हो रहा उसमें. So that's why we are having only one branch, let's say, which is S or no. So in this way I get the complete tree ready. So how this is getting constructed? It will start take first record, पहला record वो लेता है. With that it start filling the values. Okay, अगर let's say if there is a one record, okay, and by that record it is not able to reach to the leaf. Okay, so it discard that element, that particular row, it go for another row, because मुझे यहाँ तक जाना है. अगर मैं यहाँ तक नहीं पहुंचूंगा, मीन्स आई विल नॉट रीच एट दिस पॉइंट, आई विल नॉट बी इन अ पर्टिकुलर पोजीशन टू टेक अ डिसीजन बेस्ड ऑन द पाथ विच विल बी कमिंग फ्रॉम एज इतना है, देन दिस है, वेदर इट इज स्टूडेंट और नॉट, बेस्ड ऑन दैट. सो वट एवर द लीव्स विच यू आर हैविंग, यहाँ तक जब तक आपका डेटा नहीं पहुंचेगा, ओके, तब तक योर ट्री इज नॉट वट वी कैन से really worthy tree, right? So now this way your decision trees are getting constructed. Okay, and अभी तो यहाँ पे कम पैरामीटर है, अगर ज्यादा पैरामीटर्स हो जाते हैं, right? So the depth of tree will be get increased. Okay, and it will require more time for construction as well. That means training time आपको ज्यादा लगेगा. When the depth is more and the parameters are also more, so in that case the accuracy will be limited. You will not going to get more accuracies. Okay, so in that case, on top of decision tree model, we will go for some another advanced version model which is called as random forest, where we will make a different trees, and on top of that trees you will take a final decisions, right? So how this particular algorithm works? So basic algorithm is a greedy algorithm. Okay, just whatever is there, based on that it keeps on making, right? So trees are constructed in a top-down recursive divide and conquer manner. It will start from top and it keeps on dividing the data. At the start, all training samples are at root. Okay, जैसे मैंने figure दिया, at the root सारे के सारे. Then attributes are categorical attributes. Categorical कैसे होगा? ये categorical है. एक कैटेगरी लेस देन 30, ये दूसरी कैटेगरी, ये तीसरी कैटेगरी. ओके, सो कैटेगोरिकल एंड न्यूमेरिकल एक कॉम्बिनेशन रहेगा. So all attributes are categorized if continuous valued, they are discretized in advance. If some continuous values are there, so they will be discretized over there. Examples are partitioned recursively based on selected attributes. So the partition will be there and there will be a based on whatever, like take an example, I have taken that credit wala, credit rating, right? It is a categorical. बाद में मैंने दो इसमें उसको divide कर दिया. One is this, another one is this. Then there will be a test attribute are selected on the basis of heuristic or a statistical measuring, which is really the information gain. So what will be the information gain out of that, we will going to learn. That is important part over here. And the condition for stopping the partition, which is important. So it will be all samples for a given node belongs to the same class. Okay, all samples for a given node belongs to the same class, means बार बार वही बन रहा है. ठीक है, आई हैव टेकन वन रिकॉर्ड, वही ब्रांच बन रही है, वही ब्रांच बन रही है. So that means that is a one particular condition where I can stop it. There are no remaining attributes for further partitioning. That means in the given transaction or the in the given record, I am not able to partition, means there is no further partition. That means partition नहीं है तो आपका ट्री का लेंथ नहीं बढ़ेगा, right? It will be that much only. That is one wherein majority voting is applied for the classification of leaf. So there it will use a majority voting, and then there are no samples left. So these are the three terminating condition in terms of construction of your decision tree, right? So based on, you'll see an example. So what we want, जो हमने ट्री बनाई है उसमें कितना इंफॉर्मेशन गेन हुआ, that we want to observe, right? Information gain in terms of the representation and all the nodes. So for that it takes the help of entropy. Okay, this is the concept that comes from information theory subject. Okay, which is which it talks about how information is moving from one domain to another domain and what are the errors over there. So here now we are going to calculate the gain. So just we are going in a brief what exactly this formula you may get this formula you will come across while adjusting the weight. हम जब weight adjust करते हैं neural network में, तो तब ये formula use होता है when back propagate करते हैं आप, when you are back propagating the values from uh, last layer to the first layer. So this formula is getting used. So by using this formula, we calculate the errors. So what the formula is, just in nutshell, I'll try to explain you. So measure the uncertainty associated with a random variable. So जो आपका sample है वो random है, randomly हम ले रहे हैं, उसमें क्या uncertainty? Uncertainty means the kind of an error. What we want to do, calculate the discrete random variable y taking m distinct values with respect to y1 y2 ym. So these are the y1 y2 ym, these are the different instances. Okay, at that instances what could be that uncertainty that I want to measure. यानी मैंने एक सैंपल लिया, अभी y को y प्रेडिक्ट कर रहा है कि नहीं कर रहा है, that I want to determine it. So for that it use the particular probability h of y. H of y is a given by which is exactly at last which is a minus summation of I is equals to 1 to m. M is the number of samples which you're going to have, and where it is a p of I. So p of I, the probability of that instance. Then p of 1. This इसके लिए p of I. Then there will be y2. Then there is, so whatever the number of samples, they all are logged with that particular probability. And then where what p of I, what it talks about, p of I, the probability of y is equals to y है, कितनी probability है, 100% है, 95% है, 85% है. That based on that you will going to get this discrete random variable y getting calculated with h of y. What is the interpretation over here? ये जो h of y जो आप एंट्रोपी कैलकुलेट कर रहे हैं, it is either be a high entropy or low entropy. Okay, if it is a higher entropy, that means there is a higher uncertainty, which means error ज्यादा है. Higher uncertainty means the error is more, and lower uncertainty means the error is less, right? So ultimately initially ये होगा, जब पहले इटरेशन करोगे तो ये होगा, जैसे 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 आप करोगे एंड द एरर्स आर बैक प्रोपेगेटेड टू द नेटवर्क, तो वो यहाँ पर आएगा एंड यू विल गोइंग टू गेट द लो सर्टेनिटी. दैट मीन्स द एरर्स आर मिनिमाइज्ड, errors are minimized. So we have to have the lower uncertainty, that means I want lower entropy value. Okay, because यहाँ पे देखिए ये माइनस में, ठीक है, तो ये माइनस की वैल्यू ज्यादा बड़ी नहीं चाहिए. अगर वो बहुत ज्यादा बड़ी रहेंगे तो जो हमारा एक्चुअल वैल्यू है उसी को माइनस कर देंगे, राइट? लेट से अगर ये आपका आता है 50, तो आपका जो रिजल्ट आया होगा 100 में से, वो तो वैसे ही 50 हो जाएगा, right? So it has to be as less as possible. So that's why that minus term is there. So that minus term denotes the error which you are calculating, and most of the time error term is minus only, right? And then so here is a conditional probability which you are knowing only h. So where on different variable x how y behaves, that are getting calculated. So just for a brief, here we are targeting the particular error, right? So now जो हमने अभी ट्री बनाई है, okay, उस ट्री में से हमको कुछ चीजें कैलकुलेट करना है, right, which is a decision tree. So what are the things that we need to calculate, that we will see over here? So attribute selection measure. Okay, whatever the attribute, हमको अभी वो ट्री में से कौन से attribute consider करना चाहिए, right, which will really play an important role for final decision. तो उसका इंफॉर्मेशन गेन ज्यादा होना चाहिए, जिसका इंफॉर्मेशन गेन ज्यादा होगा मैं उसको कंसिडर करूंगा, बाकी को नहीं करूंगा, right? So that we'll try to measure over here. So let p of I be the probability that an attribute tuple इन डी, डी इज व्हाट, योर डेटा सेट, डी आपका डेटा सेट है। वो डेटा सेट में फर्स्ट रो इज वन टपल, second row is another tuple, third row is another tuple, right? So we are having a tuples belongs to a particular class, every tuple belongs to a particular class, okay, किसी न किसी क्लास में वो belong है, and that is getting estimated by CID, okay, based that means class of C, so whatever the probability associated in a particular class divided by the total sample, D is आपका total sample है. So total that will be. So we'll see in the example. So it will be more and more clear. So what are the things expected from the tree? Expected information, which is exactly an entropy. What it does? Needed to classify a tuple in D. That means tuple को classify करने के लिए उसका expected उसके पास कुछ ना कुछ information होना चाहिए, which is given by the formula which is called as the info D. Okay. So info D. When I say info D, so it is applicable on the entire tuples. D is my data set, and where it is given by I is equals to 1 to m, so m means उसके कितने classes है, which we will see, and there the particular probability at that point, okay, with respect to the classes. So that is the expected information for class to be the tuple to be categorized in a particular class, ठीक है, this formula will use. Then next is the information needed, वो expected है, okay, ये needed है. So information needed, what it says that after using A to split D into V partitions. So जो data set है उसको आप partition में करोगे, आप कैसे करोगे हम देखेंगे. So to classify D once again means information needed for A to be splitted into D with the V partitions. That V partitions will be belongs to the different classes, and that will be based on this formula. So information A, okay, जो split हम कर रहे हैं using A, D, where these are the partitions, J is equals to 1 to V. दो partition हो गए तो दो बार जाएगा, तीन partition होंगे तो तीन बार जाएगा, and therein we will going to have the probabilities, okay, total one and with respect to वो particular instance वाले के लिए into complete information of that D which we have calculated in the first step. यहाँ पे हमने calculate किया, ठीक है, and the last I have to calculate what is the information gained. ओके, इंफॉर्मेशन गेन बाय ब्रांचिंग ऑन एट्रीब्यूट ए. सो हम कुछ ना कुछ एट्रीब्यूट सिलेक्ट करेंगे, ये एट्रीब्यूट सिलेक्ट किया, यहां से एक ब्रांच है, यहां से एक ब्रांच है, अभी यहां पे वो क्या गेन कर रहा है, दैट वी नीड टू कैलकुलेट, राइट. So which is simply calculated by gain at A. So A will be a some particular attribute for which you want to know what is the gain, so that you can consider in other way what is the weightage, what is the weightage of that particular attribute for having a proper decision. So what is that info D, that means पूरा जो हमने calculate किया है information minus related to attribute जो information हमने calculate किया है. So by that I will going to have the gain with respect to particular attribute. So now with this formula let's calculate here, right. हम इसको calculate करने की कोशिश करते हैं. So now मेरे पास दो classes है, class P and class N. आप कुछ भी नाम दे सकते हैं. क्लास पी मीन्स बाइंग अ कंप्यूटर, यस, ये आपका डेटा है. बाइज अ कंप्यूटर की दो क्लासेस है, यस या नो, राइट, यस या नो. हमको मुझे यही फाइंड आउट करना है, मुझे लास्ट का कॉलम आइडेंटिफाई करना है, उसमें दो ही क्लास है, राइट. सो आई हैव डन यस और नो, ओके, एंड नाउ व्हाट आई हैव टू फाइंड आउट, आई हैव टू फाइंड आउट इन्फो डी. इन्फो डी मीन्स पूरे डेटा सेट के लिए, ठीक है. सो पूरे डेटा सेट में मुझे रिजल्ट क्या चाहिए, ये यस या नो. अभी उसमें कितने एस है कितने नो है दैट मुझे फाइंड आउट कर रहा है, बिकॉज वही मुझे पोटेंशियल देगा, राइट. और ये आपके पास यू हैव आइडेंटिफाइड सम अनदर डिटेल विथ इज विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू एज, क्योंकि हमने यहाँ पे एज के साथ कैलकुलेशन किया है. सो एज इज अ कैटेगोरिकल, यस, सो ये कैटेगोरिकल है, okay, and based on that these are the different instances that also we'll going to see, okay, less than equals to 30, less than equals to 30, less than equals to 30 corresponding to yes या no वाला पार्ट है. so p है यहाँ पे, ये p है, ये n है, ये n है. so that p means how many yes वाला and no means how many no वाला, right. Based on that this is the I, that is the information gain can be calculated, okay. So ये तीनों कैटेगरी के लिए यहाँ पे कैलकुलेट किया है, we will calculate there also how the formula works. तो सबसे पहले हमको क्या निकालना है, info D, whole data set, right. So on whole data set, I'll apply. Okay. So whole data set is categorized into two classes, yes या no. ठीक है. तो yes वाले टोटल कितने हैं, no वाले आई थिंक इसमें है 5 एंड yes वाले है 9. So I have written information gain 9,5. 9 वाला yes एंड yes वाला 9 एंड no वाला 5. वो अभी फॉर्मूला आपको लिखना है. So formula is which we have already seen. ये मेरा फॉर्मूला है this, right? So probability तो ऐसी मिल जाएंगी, means out of total how many times that particular instance appears, which is already given, right? Which is already given. तो 9, so ये 9/14 आ गया क्योंकि पॉजिटिव आउट ऑफ 14 सैंपल्स, log टू 9/14 एंड माइनस ये दिस दूसरा वाला है नो वाला, नो दैट इज 15/14 log 15/5 विच इज कम्स आउट टू बी 0.94. सो ये टोटल आपकी इन्फो है आपके डेटा सेट की, राइट? Now that we calculated, abhi main I have targeted an attribute, right? In the previous slide also I talked on with respect to a particular targeted attribute. आप फिर दूसरा attribute भी target कर सकते हो, credit score भी target कर सकते हो. So based on that you will have the different calculation, right? So now here I targeted on age. So based on age and based on their positive, that is the yes wali probability and no wala probability, this particular table you can have it. So now I am calculated info with respect to age. Age is a attribute. अभी age में कितनी classes हैं? 3 classes, right? So it will go 3 times, 3 equations आना चाहिए, right? So wherein you will have, so that will be based on this particular measurement, out of total measurements, right? Out of total measurement. So D, so अभी इसमें 3 classes है, so that you can see there is a 3 equations, right? 3 है equations. So I got that 5/14. So how I got 5? 2 plus 3, क्योंकि उस पर्टिकुलर क्लास में टोटल इतना है मेरा. So 5 divided by total number of class data samples, which is a 14, and I which is 2,3. So 2 indicates the yes and 3 indicates no. Likewise the next one which will be for this range, likewise next one which will be for this range, and out of that you will get a final outcome. ठीक है. So ये आपका final outcome यहाँ हो गया in I 2,3 which are already calculated over here. So from that you got information gain from age, it is 0.69. ऐसे ही आप और दूसरा कैलकुलेट करोगे और दूसरा कैलकुलेट करोगे, by which you will going to know what is the potential of that particular attribute at the time of decision making. एज इंपॉर्टेंट है या नहीं है उससे समझेगा. आप और एक एट्रीब्यूट के लिए कैलकुलेट करेंगे, लेट्स से फॉर दैट इट इज अ 0.60, उसका इंपॉर्टेंस है लेकिन एज का इंपॉर्टेंस ज्यादा है. अगर उसमें सैलरी वाला कंपोनेंट है या क्रेडिट रेटिंग वाला कंपोनेंट है, okay, that credit rating is also dependent on the other thing which is income or all, so which is helping you towards to analyze कि इसका importance कितना है, right? So now we, so the meanings are already mentioned over here. What is the meaning of 5/2? So now at least I want to find out the gain for with respect to age, right? So the formula which we have already seen, total information minus the information gain associated particular attribute. Now here we are getting 0.246, and similarly we can calculate it for income, we can calculate for student, and we can calculate for credit rating. So likewise we can see. So here more weightage is for information gain associated with age and it is a student. अगर वो उसका एज जितना है और वो स्टूडेंट है, वो likely to purchase a computer, बराबर. अदरवाइज नॉट, क्योंकि ऑलरेडी वो एज हो गया तो इसको जरूरत नहीं है. बट एज अ स्टूडेंट लाइकली टू हैव दैट अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर दिस पर्टिकुलर डेटा सेट कि वो बाय करेगा एस. सो इन दिस वे inside the decision tree the calculation takes place, okay, and then there we can able to see the entire information gain. Okay, so that is about what we say, the information gain associated with the tree. Then moving towards, let's say we might have continuous valued attribute. Sometime हमारे पास continuous valued attribute भी हो सकता है, ठीक है. So where how that gain can be get calculated. So the attribute can be continuous. So you must be split at a particular point. आपको split करना पड़ेगा, okay. ये continuous means it is having a some big range. So you have to break into a some particular point so that before that point will be have some particular branch and after that point we'll have some particular branch. So हमको कैटेगराइजेशन करना इजी हो जाएगा क्योंकि एक बहुत बड़ी रेंज में कैटेगराइजेशन हम नहीं कर सकते. And the ideology of decision trees make the categorization and try to limit your search in a particular domain, right? कैटेगराइजेशन से हमारा सर्च लिमिट हो जाता है जैसे व्हाट वी हैव सीन इन दैट द एज वाला पार्ट. सो द डेटा इटसेल्फ वाज कैटेगराइज with respect to three age group. So with respect to that age group you will have a particular tree, from another age group you will have some particular tree. So that categorization helps you in terms of looking into for a particular decision, right? So what it says that if it is a continuous value, split it at particular a. Sort the value a in increasing order. Suppose that a is having that range, so it is saying that sort it. Typically, the midpoint between the each pair of the adjacent value is considered as a possible split point. As sort kar dijiye and take a mid, so that mid can be easily calculated from the lower bound and upper bound divided by 2. And the point with the minimum expected information requirement of A is a selected. So minimum expected information, whatever will be there corresponding to that split A will be chosen. So how split can be done? D is the set of tuples आपके पास D1 and D satisfies A less than split point यानी D1 लेफ्ट वाले पूरे टारगेट्स हो गए आपके and D2 is a set of tuples satisfying A greater than that particular split. So उसको कैसे आप let me show you the data set. Okay, ये वाला एज वाला ही ले लेते हैं. ओके, फॉर द सिंप्लिसिटी व्हाट इट सेज दैट ये आगे चले गए हम. कंसिडर दिस ओनली द एट्रीब्यूट. ये कंटिन्यूअस है एग्जांपल. सो व्हाट इट सेज दैट सॉर्ट इट. कर दो सॉर्ट. ओके, सॉर्ट कर दूंगा तो क्या होगा? लेस देन 30, लेस देन 30, लेस देन 30 एक साथ आ जाएंगे. फिर 30 to 40, 30 to 40, 30 to 40 and then greater than 40, greater than 40. Then it says that find out the middle. Okay, so find out the middle. So from here to here you will going to have one data set which is the D1, and from here to here you will going to another set data set which is D2, and now in that way the tree will be get considered. हाँ जी. सर जो डेटा सेट हम स्प्लिटिंग करते हैं यूजिंग इंफॉर्मेशन गेन एंड प्रोसेसिंग वो कैसे होता है? ये this. So the data splitting we are not applying on all the datas. We are applying on those attributes जो continuous है. तो इंफॉर्मेशन गेन से भी स्प्लिट करते हैं या इनको भी करते हैं? See, what it says that let's say we go back. Okay, now here we got the what we can say we got the gain, right? Gain which is associated with a different attribute. That means we got a highest gain for age. Age के लिए मुझे highest gain मिला, right? And now this is ये एक iteration में ऐसा होगा, right? Then the next iteration what we'll going to do, which we means as per the decision tree, it will going to consider this particular tuple and try to make the tree which we have seen, right? ये सारे सारे tuple initially will be at the root. All tuples will be initially at the root, right? And then from that root these trees are getting constructed based on categorical data, right? So अभी ये जो डेटा है इसमें कैटेगोरिकल डेटा है. एज में कंटिन्यूस मैंने एग्जांपल लिया लेकिन वो कंटिन्यूस नहीं है. इट इज अ कैटेगोरिकल डेटा. सो यहाँ पे इजीली वो हो गया, हमारा ट्री बन जाएगा इजीली. बट अगर वो कैटेगोरिकल नहीं है तब जाके हमको स्प्लिट करना है. सो देर विल बी अ सर्टेन एट्रीब्यूट. उसमें क्या होगा, वो सब में ही आ रहा है. एक कंटिन्यूस वो एक पूरे यानी यू टेक ऑल द कैटेगरीज, वो सारा उसी के साथ चल के आ रहा है. तो उसको मुझे ब्रेक करना है. तो वो स्प्लिटिंग होना चाहिए यानी लेट से हाफ विल बी गो इन सम लेफ्ट पार्ट, हाफ विल बी गो इन सम राइट पार्ट. ओके, सो फॉर दैट काइंड ऑफ एट्रीब्यूट हमको स्प्लिटिंग करना है. ऐसा स्प्लिटिंग नहीं करेंगे हम. सी व्हाट द टाइटल हियर इज कंप्यूट इंफॉर्मेशन गेन. यानी मुझे भी इंफॉर्मेशन गेन ये डिफरेंट है. दिस इज इंफॉर्मेशन गेन इज फॉर व्हाट द एट्रीब्यूट दे आर कंटिन्यूअस वैल्यूड. Okay, so it will be something like this. कुछ है क्या हमारे पास marker? ये you started making a tree, right? Let's say you got a tree, right? So there are various attributes. ठीक है, यहाँ पे भी कुछ बन गया. अभी यहाँ पे जब आप बना रहे हो, ठीक है, let's say here you got a continuous valued function, attribute, continuous valued attribute CVA. अभी क्या हो रहा है at this point, जैसा वो वाला था age, है ना, age. So we got a three class, 1 2 and 3. ठीक है, उसके लिए कैटेगराइजेशन हो गया, नो इश्यू. नाउ हियर यू गॉट सम अनदर एट्रीब्यूट, लेट्स से XYZ. इसका भी कैटेगराइजेशन हो गया, X1 Y1 Z1. ठीक है, नाउ हियर यू गॉट वन एट्रीब्यूट. ठीक है, यहां पे आपको एक एट्रीब्यूट मिला, सपोज AA. इसका कैटेगराइजेशन ही नहीं हो रहा. इट इज कमिंग, होल इज कमिंग हियर, होल इज कमिंग हियर, होल इज कमिंग हियर. इसको मुझे ब्रेक करना है. इसका कैटेगराइजेशन होना चाहिए यहां से इधर, यहां से इधर. Okay, so to have that, what I'm doing, whatever that particular attribute is there, I'll take the values, all values. ठीक है, and I'll going to sort and I'll make a middle point. ये middle point से क्या होगा, जब मैं यहाँ पे अभी आऊंगा तो आधे, that's now here I'll going to have at least two branches. ठीक है, so with the left branch your data is limited to one particular range, 0 to that split point. And here this is another set which is from split point plus 1 to the n, which will be here. So now यहाँ पे अभी वो data differentiate हो रहा है. So that sometime it happens for certain attributes. So that time we have to split it. फिर वहां से फिर हम उसके लिए इंफॉर्मेशन गेन कैलकुलेट करना चालू करें. सो हाउ दैट पर्टिकुलर स्प्लिट हेल्पिंग इन टर्म्स ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन गेन. ओके, सो बिकॉज अगर आपके ब्रांचेस हो रहे तो आपको कोई प्रॉब्लम ही नहीं है. नहीं हो रहा है यानी आपके प्रॉब्लम है, क्योंकि वो पूरा का पूरा डेटा बोल रहा है मैं ये भी हूं, मैं ये भी हूं, मैं ये भी हूं. सो इट इज इन ओवरलैपिंग मैनर. हमको वो नॉन ओवरलैपिंग चाहिए, देन ओनली वी विल गोइंग टू हैव द कैटेगराइजेशन, राइट. सो इन दैट सेंस. Okay, so now we are making a split over here. So split point you will going to get, which is a lower bound to upper bound divided by 2. So let's, so that left wala part will be go to the D1 data set and the right wala part will go to the D2 data set. Okay, so that totally depend whether you make this is strictly less than or less than equals to, or you make this is a greater than or greater than equals to. वो आप पे डिपेंड है, एक रिकॉर्ड इधर या एक रिकॉर्ड उधर. That is totally depend on your, right. So with that, how that information gain will be there. So जो attribute whatever you have chosen, based on that you are making that entire. So the split will be there. So information gain is biased towards attribute with large number of values. You gain overcome the problem of normalization to inform. Okay. So now this is the formula when you are making a split. So अभी आपके पास दो सेट आ गए, ठीक है ना. यू गॉट अ टू सेट्स, बट इंफॉर्मेशन गेन मुझे पूरे सेट के ऊपर करस्पॉन्डिंग टू एट्रीब्यूट ए करना है. Okay, on attribute A. So what once again it says that this is D means your total information, that is the total probability associated with D, and this is the D of J. So जो आपने partitions बनाए यहाँ पे, J equals to 1 to V. V is number of partitions. So दो partition बने अभी आपके यहाँ पे, right? Into log of. So पहले यहाँ पे क्या था, PP था, P of I और P of I, direct probability associated with that attribute. But abhi ye it is with respect to the two partitions which you have made. So this is the probability associated with the division which we have done it. Okay, and then there will be a different partitions. So by that information split you got for A, then the gain ratio of attribute A can be easily calculated. Gain which you get with respect to A and with respect to split of A. तो A combined वाला था Okay, and yeah, this is a split, so that is the ratio, which is the gain ratio over here. So you can see how that has been getting calculated over here. So split information, अभी इनकम को कंसिडर किया, इनकम रेंज में होती है, राइट? ये रेंज से ये रेंज में इनकम होती है, तो उसमें हमने रेंज वाइज उसको अरेंज कर दिया, और वहां पे मैंने एक स्प्लिट मार दिया. So from first D1 I'll get some particular inferences, from another D2 I'll get some another inferences. So wherein 14 रिकॉर्ड्स है हमारे पास, ठीक है. 14 रिकॉर्ड्स में से रेंज बनाई है, तो सम 4 रिकॉर्ड्स गॉट समवेयर एंड सम अनदर रिकॉर्ड्स, बिकॉज वो रेंज है उसमें. ओके, और उसमें भी आपको यस नो वाला पार्ट मिलेगा, राइट. सो विद दैट we got this 14 by 4 by 14, then log of this 4 by 14, then 6 by 14 into 6 by 14, then 4 by 14. So likewise, so यहाँ पे I think 3 partitions we are getting, इसमें 3 partitions we are able to get it. So with that you have this is, and then at last info what we can say gain ratio, इनकम का भी निकाला इसने. सो इनकम वाला फॉर्मूला आई हैव नॉट यूज, डायरेक्टली इट हैज बीन कैलकुलेटेड ओवर हियर. सो दिस इज विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू गेन रेशियो, हमारा क्या है, गेन ऑफ ए. सो टोटल इनकम डिवाइडेड बाय द इनकम एसोसिएटेड विद दैट स्प्लिट, which is 1.57. So that ratio you get, and the attribute with the maximum gain ratio is selected as the splitting attribute. So jiska may what we can say the maximum gain ratio you will going to have, so that attribute we will select. So there will be a different number of attributes where they are continuous. तो सारे कंटिन्यूस अच्छा परफॉर्म करेंगे ये जरूरी नहीं है, राइट. कोई कोई अच्छा परफॉर्म करेगा. सो दैट आई विल डू एंड आई विल मेक अ, आई विल कंसिडर दैट स्प्लिट. अभी मैंने स्प्लिट कर दिया पहले, स्प्लिट के बाद मैं डिसाइड करूंगा कि दैट स्प्लिट इज रियली वर्दी फॉर मी और नॉट. अगर वर्दी है इन टर्म्स ऑफ रेशियो, सो इट विल कंसिडर द स्प्लिट, अदरवाइज दैट स्प्लिट विल नॉट हैपन. ओके, तो वो जो दो ब्रांच मैंने बनाया था, दो ब्रांच बनेंगी नहीं बाद में. ओके, इट इज टोटली डिपेंड ऑन वट एवर द गेन आई विल गोइंग टू रिसीव इट. Okay, so now moving towards, this is the one of the problem which you'll going to find in the tree, which is overfitting and tree pruning. So overfitting हो रहा है, तो मुझे prune करना पड़ेगा tree को. Pruning means I have to remove these different branches, the unwanted things which are there, that I need to prune. So what exactly the overfitting talks over here? So an induced tree may overfit the training data. So there are the 2 points. So too many branches, that is the one which already I told initially. So too many branches hai, to some may reflect anomaly due to the noise or outlier. Okay, so noise and outlier means you have considered unwanted attributes. I can say in that way. यानी आपके पास डेटा सेट था, आपने सभी कंसिडर कर लिया, ठीक है. सो उससे क्या हो रहा है, जो आउटलायर है उससे आपकी ट्री में वो लीफ तक नहीं जाएगा कहीं. ओके, इट विल नॉट रीच टू दी लीफ, एंड लेट्स से दैट इज योर ट्री. ठीक है, आपने वो ट्री बना ली, अभी मैंने आपको अनसीन डेटा दिया, और वो पाथ फॉलो कर रहा है जो लीफ पे नहीं जा रहा है. सो योर ट्री विल नॉट गोइंग टू गिव रिजल्ट, कुछ तो भी एक रैंडम रिजल्ट देके छोड़ देगा. Okay, so when you are having a more number of attributes, that correlation analysis we have to do it, and then try to reduce the kind of attributes, and then have to have a tree where every branch must lead to the leaf node. लीफ नोड में जाना ही चाहिए. लीफ नोड में कब नहीं जाएंगी, जब आपने ऐसे एट्रीब्यूट लिए हैं, ओके, दे आर रियली नॉट रिक्वायर्ड, तो आपकी ट्री पूरी बनी नहीं है. सो आप ट्रैवर्स रूट से ट्रैवर्स करके यू आर एट द सम नोड, बट यहां से कुछ आगे है ही नहीं, और वो आपका अनसीन डेटा आपने अभी मॉडल को दिया है, राइट. यू हैव गिवन सम अनसीन डेटा टू द मॉडल, योर मॉडल इज डिसीजन ट्री मॉडल, ठीक है. तो डिसीजन ट्री में आपका डिसीजन कब आएगा, व्हेन इट इज रीच टू द लीफ. ओके, और लीफ पे वो कब रीच नहीं करेगा, when there are outliers. Outlier means certain attributes which are not relevant in you have considered. So जब ज्यादा एट्रीब्यूट आएंगे तो ज्यादा ब्रांचेस भी आएंगे ना. It bound to happen, there is a more branches, and that more branches will going to what we can say therein, which will going to give the problem of overfitting. Okay, that is one. And definitely उससे accuracy आएंगी नहीं आपको, accuracy for unseen, lower accuracy for unseen what we can say samples. That is one. So two approaches can be used to avoid the overfitting. The first one is pruning. That means halt tree construction early. Do not split a node. In this would result in the goodness measure falling below a threshold. That means difficult to choose a appropriate method. Once again means still we are not having a full proof method कि मुझे वो लेना ही है या नहीं लेना है या split करना है या नहीं करना है. Okay, we can't means take a direct decision, as the statement says that halt tree construction early. Do not split a node if it would result in a goodness measure. That means जैसा हमने अभी what we have seen, we are trying to split it, और मैंने एक decision ले लिया कि split कर देता हूँ. Okay, what the initial statement, halt tree construction, that means you are not you are not taking a decision to have a kind of a split. आप वहां पे हॉल्ट कर रहे हो, यानी हॉल्ट मीन्स यू आर नॉट गोइंग फर्दर टू हैव मोर एंड मोर लेवल्स इन योर ट्री. मोर एंड मोर लेवल कब मिलेंगे आपको? जब आप स्प्लिट करते जाएंगे, राइट? So that splitting will be there, and as per the research it says that difficult to choose an appropriate thresholding. कितना threshold लेना चाहिए to have that particular what we can say uh, split. Okay, so once again that will going to vary with respect to problem and data to data. So pruning will be there, but pruning means, it's as per the statement it says that you have to construct halt tree. Halt tree means split mat karo. Have to have minimum number of split, or don't do a split when you are not confident enough in terms of the threshold that is applied in terms of splitting at that particular data, right? And another one is a post pruning. So it is a pre pruning technique, and post pruning says that remove branches from a fully grown tree, get a sequence of progressively pruned tree. Okay, that means what it the post means, आपकी ट्री ग्रो ही ग्रो हो रही है. ये अभी ट्री ज्यादा ग्रो हो जाएंगे तो इट इज ऑल्सो डिफिकल्ट टू ट्रेन, राइट? जितनी ज्यादा आपकी ट्री की डेप्थ होंगी, इट विल गोइंग टू टेक मोर ट्रेनिंग टाइम. In some particular problem statement more depth is not really required, because आपको response भी ज़्यादा fast होना चाहिए, right? So in that says, so it says that use the different use the data different from the training data to decide which is the best pruning tree. That means it is saying that you have to have some another training samples, okay, and from that particular training samples you have to decide what could be that particular the tree which you can prune. Pruning means ultimately removing the particular branches, they are not relevant. Okay, so this whatever these two approach, this totally depend on the data which is in hand. इस इस डेटा पे ये काम करेंगे या उस डेटा पे ये काम करेंगे, we cannot predict on that. Okay, so that we have to do. Then next is classifying in the large data set. So if it is a large data set is there, suppose your data set is large, so classification problem extensively studied by the statistician and machine learning researchers. Scalability is also one of the important issue, because your data is keep on increasing. So with the millions of examples, and there are number of more attributes, and you have to produce the result in reasonable high speed. So why is decision tree induced popular? So it is a relatively faster learning, okay, wherein you can apply the pre-pruning and post-pruning intelligently, wherein you can get the mature tree. That is one. Then what it says that the rules can be easily converted. You आप वो rules को खुद भी लिख सकते हो. If then के form में आप easily लिख सकते हो. SQL query से भी we can easily access, and then comparably having the good classification result. But when your data is increasing, so that time it says that try to go for some another version of tree which is called as a rainforest. Okay, decision tree तो एक है, एक आपने एक दूसरा भी नाम सुना होगा random forest, that also you can use, but on top of that you can go for some another technique which is called as a rainforest. Though it was long back invented, but now still people are using with respect to different data set when the data set is very large. Okay, ज़्यादा large data set के लिए decision tree is not sufficient, तो वैसे ही overfit हो जाएगा या there will be problem in that. So it says that use the another technique, build an AVC list. What is the attribute, value and class label? यानी जो आपका डेटा सेट है उसको छोटे छोटे पार्ट में डिवाइड कर दो. ओके, व्हाट इज दैट एट्रीब्यूट जो आप कंसिडर कर रहे हो, उसका वैल्यू एंड देन उसका क्लास लेबल. So the problem statement which we have considered, the my class label is yes या no. ठीक है. If I'll consider a particular value, a particular attribute, so it is having a some value, some numerical value. So in that way, it says that you can use this ABC, which is a solution for large data set. So what is the framework over here? Separates the scalability aspects of the criteria that determine the quality of tree, and that can be done by using AVC list, where attribute, value, class label will be there. And what is that particular set? So you will consider one attribute at a time. एक attribute आप ले लो. ठीक है, एक attribute. Projection of training data set into attribute X and class label, where counts the individual class labels are aggregated. So मैं individual class को target कर रहा हूँ based on attribute. So here, so AVC what, then there will be AVC group. पहले आपने सेट बना लिए, चार एट्रीब्यूट है तो चार सेट बन गए आपके. ठीक है, ऐसे ही चार सेट आराम से बन जाए. देन वी हैव टू मेक अ ग्रुप ऑफ अ नोड्स n. सो n नोड्स अभी हमें बनाना चालू करना पड़ेगा बेस्ड ऑन वन वन एट्रीब्यूट. So set of AVC sets of all predictor attribute at all the nodes. That means जो हमने डिसीजन ट्री बनाया था उसमें कैसे किया था? I was having a D and there are tuples. ठीक है. So initially all the tuples had root. इसमें कैसा होगा? जो मैंने ये लिस्ट बनाई है, this will be at the root. All sets will be at the root, and from there I'll start making. So that is the meaning. Set of all ABC sets of all the predictor attribute at the node n. So n node means I'll start with some root node n, and from there it will be. So your random for rainforest will be something like this. Now it is initially you have to have a training set and its ABC sets. Okay, training set and ABC set. So training set तो जो हमारा data set था वही रहेगा, उसमें तो कोई चेंज नहीं होगा. नाउ एबीसी सेट बनेगा बेस्ड ऑन द एट्रीब्यूट विच विल गोइंग टू कंसीडर. सो मैंने अभी क्या एट्रीब्यूट कंसीडर किया? एज, इनकम, स्टूडेंट एंड क्रेडिट रेटिंग. लास्ट वाला नहीं करूंगा क्योंकि वो तो मुझे प्रिडिक्ट करना है, राइट. लास्ट इज दिस कंप्यूटर परचेस्ड और नॉट, यस और नो, ये मुझे प्रिडिक्ट करना है. बट बिफोर टू दैट वट एवर द एट्रीब्यूट आई हैव, based on that I will going to get AVC set, attribute value class set. So now you see here age. एज में कैटेगराइजेशन ऑलरेडी वी गॉट इट 3. देन बाय करेंगे नहीं करेंगे दैट ऑल्सो आई विल हैव यस और नो. सो एस कितने हैं दैट इज लिस्टेड, नो कितने हैं दैट आर लिस्टेड, राइट. Likewise you get this set, and then based on this the tree will be get constructed. So अभी इसमें मैंने बनाया नहीं tree. So in that way it will start from the age, and considering this particular parameter, the tree is get constructed. Okay, so here uh, this will going to handle the large data set के लिए ये आपने करना है. ठीक है, जब लार्ज, बिकॉज इट्स में डायरेक्ट विजुअलाइजेशन यू विल गोइंग टू गेट इन टर्म्स ऑफ, यू कैन कंसिडर दिस इज द सपोर्ट, राइट. ये उसका सपोर्ट है कितना, मीन्स आउट ऑफ हाउ मेनी रिकॉर्ड्स, how much it contributes in terms of age, in terms of buying or not buying, right. Yeah. Now, so this is the first classification tree, first classification method I tried to cover. Now moving toward the next classification method, which is called as a Bayesian classification method. Okay. So this basic Bayesian classification, it is a statistical method. ये पूरा mathematical and it is totally based on probability. Okay, that too on conditional probability. So it is a classifier performs probability prediction. So it will give the probability 0.50, 0.90, 0.95. Based on that, it will categorize. The foundation is the Bayes theorem. Okay, that is given by the mathematician whose name is a Bayes. The performance, a simple Bayes classifier, which is generally called as the neo-Bayesian classifier, has a comparable performance with respect to decision tree and a selected neural network classification. So whatever the ML techniques you will consider, ये कहीं ना कहीं stand अच्छे से करता है. It also gives the results. Most of the time we are not experimenting this, लेकिन हमको इसको भी experiment करना जरूरी है. Then it is a incremental. Each training examples are incrementally increased or decreased the probability that the hypothesis is correct or not. So here in this case you are requiring the prior knowledge. आपके पास prior knowledge होना चाहिए. ठीक है? Prior knowledge can be combined with observed data. So with our prior knowledge you will observe the data and it will help you towards to achieve the goal, right? That how that will be do we will see. And it is a standard even when Bayesian methods are computationally intractable, they can provide a standard of optimal decision making against other methods. That means this is itself a one standard method. Okay. So this is the Bayes theorem which is known to us. So the total probability theorem we can see from the first formula. So probability B with P of B is getting measured with respect to 1 to M. M you can consider the number of samples. Okay, and then you are having the probability, conditional probability of B with respect to attribute A and then independent attribute A. Similarly, on Bayes theorem, same is represented over here. P H of X, X will be the complete set you can consider, and then H will be the different samples. Or here it is mentioned, X is the data sample. Okay, that is the evidence. It is the class is unknown. यहाँ पे class हमारी unknown है. H is the hypothesis. That means the particular function you can consider. So the classification is totally determined based on P of H of X. P of H of X is what? A posterior probability. Okay. The probability which I'll going to have it. The probability that the hypothesis holds gives the observation of the data, right? And there is a P of H which is a prior probability. So ये हमारा knowledge है. P of H मेरे पास होना चाहिए. मेरे पास अगर P of H है, so I'll going to get P of H of X, and by P of H of X I'll improve upon the system. Okay. So P of H is the prior probability, is the initial probability, and X will be by computer regardless of age or income. So I have considered X is what? By computer attribute. मुझे वो predict करना है class. So P of X, probability that sample data is observed. P of XH, it is a likelihood, the probability of observed the sample X given the hypothesis. Okay, given the hypothesis. Example is given that X will by computer, the probability that X is 31 to 40, which is a medium income range. Okay, so when this is there, so we are expecting that कि वो purchase करेंगे ही करेंगे, right? So this is the that. Okay, this is the same iteration of that. So given a training data X, posterior probability of hypothesis H is calculated based on the formulae P H of X. So हमें P H of X निकालना है, and that formula is very simple. P X of H, P of H and X. So X is what the samples that are given. So based on that sample हम उसको करते जाएंगे and then we will going to get the final outcome. So informally we can viewed, मैथमेटिकली छोड़ दो, what exactly we are viewing over here. Posterior हमको calculate करना है, right? I have to calculate posterior. How it is? Likelihood of X prior divided by evidence. Okay, so evidence हमको निकालना है and then the likelihood. So whatever the likelihood which is ये हो सकता है and whatever the evidence which we have, based on that posterior probability you have, और ये हमको हर सैंपल के लिए हम करते जाएंगे. So then at last we are in position to give the answer for a particular unknown sample कि this will going to buy or this will not going to buy. So predict X belongs to a class C. Okay, if the probability of P X of I is the highest among all the P K. So वहाँ पे there are number of classes. C is class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4. ठीक है. X is what? A sample. C is the class, right? So from class and from X and this class, we will going to get the probability. What it says that it will be highest among all probability of Pk of X. Okay, so जितने भी sample है, and though whatever the sample is there, and we if we'll see the probability corresponding to different class, whichever will be highest that will consider. यानी I will say that X belongs to class C1 or X belongs to class C2, which is determined by this. So but the practical difficulty which we find here is it requires initial knowledge. हमको initial वहां से ही मैंने start किया था. When I want to have the Bayesian calculation, so initial knowledge की probability मेरे पास होना चाहिए, something कुछ तो भी. Okay, involving significant computational cost. That means prior knowledge if I want to acquire from the data set, so pre-processing में मुझे वो calculate करना पड़ेगा where it will require the additional computing resources or there will be a computational cost required. Once it is done, उसके बाद तो आप ये formula ही लगाना है. Okay, you have to only apply the formula, but to start with this formula ये आपको चाहिए initial knowledge जो आपको कैलकुलेट करना पड़ेगा फ्रॉम द गिवन डेटा सेट. ओके, दैट मीन्स इट इज सिंपली द नंबर ऑफ अकरेंसेस. टोटल सैंपल में कितनी बार है वो उसकी प्रोबेबिलिटी हो जाएगी. ये सब के लिए कैलकुलेट करना पड़ेगा. देन आई कैन एबल टू यूज दिस एंड देन आई एबल टू टेल दैट ये जो x है ये कौन से क्लास में, इन विच क्लास, C1, C2, C3, C4, C5. So to understand this in terms of maximum posterior probability, so if suppose I am having a D which is my training set having a number of tuples and their associated class, that is class 1, class 2, class 3, and each tuple is represented by an ND attribute vector, let's say x, x1, x2, x3 or xn, and suppose there are m classes, class C1 to class m. So the classification to be derived, the maximum posterior probability will be P of C of Ix. जो भी maximum रहेगा उस probability में, where C of Ix, जो भी probability ज़्यादा रहेंगी, I can say that either it is in C1, either it is in C2 or it is in Cm. So this can be derived by Bayesian theorem, which we have already seen, and the formula is this. So P of a class with respect to a particular sample, it is given by the formula P of x of C and P of C and P of x. Okay. So since P of x is the constant for all the classes, ये constant है. Only what we require, the PCI of x, which is a PXCI and PCI, that need to be get calculated. That means probability of class, probability of x over a class, and that total will going to give you probability of x with respect to class C of I. एंड दैट नीड टू बी मैक्सिमम. ये मैक्सिमम होना चाहिए. अगर मैक्सिमम है तो देन ओनली यू आर एबल टू टेल इट बिलोंग्स टू पर्टिकुलर क्लास C1 to Cm. So this is about this navy based classifier. So I'm having an example. Let's see. So ultimately that complete formulation बाद में ऐसा हो जाता है, right? Because we will going to go for some n number of samples. N number of samples में मैं categorization करूंगा and I'll going to make. So the simplified assumption is attributes are conditionally independent. Okay, they are not dependent. All are independent. नो डिपेंडेंस रिलेशन बिटवीन द एट्रीब्यूट. कोई भी एट्रीब्यूट नहीं, इसलिए मैं कर सकता हूं. अगर डिपेंडेंट है तो मुझे कंडीशनल प्रोबेबिलिटी यूज करना पड़ेगा. इंडिपेंडेंट है तो ये चलेगा, क्योंकि इफ यू सी इन द फॉर्मूला कहीं पे भी कंडीशनल प्रोबेबिलिटी वाला सिंबल नहीं है. दे आर टोटली independent. So we are taking all the independent and from those all independence we try to find out the particular relationship, and that at last I want to get certain probability where I can conclude whether it belongs to C1 class, C2 class, C3 class, C4 class. This greatly reduces the computational cost. Only count the class distribution. So if that formula comes, अभी वो बाद whatever we have seen, only we have to just look into the count कितना है, कौन सा number कितनी बार आ रहा है. That only you going to become your probability in this case. So take an example. If A of k is a categorical, A of k is a categorical, कौन सा हमने लिया था, age. Age was categorical, थ्री कैटेगरी में हमने उसको डिवाइड किया था. तो अगर वो एट्रीब्यूट पर्टिकुलर कैटेगरी में है या नहीं है, दैट इज इन पर्टिकुलर क्लास, ये आपको ये प्रोबेबिलिटी से मिलेगा. P probability of x of k, that is that particular category, whether belongs to a class C of I or not. Okay, so is the number of attribute in C of I, कितने एट्रीब्यूट C of I में है having a value x of k. So it is just a count. So simple, आपके पास 14 एट्रीब्यूट्स है, 14 values. Out of 14 values, 10 values belongs to category C1. So 10 divided by 14, जो भी percentage आया, that is going to become P x of I, C of I. And for AK divides by CID, that is the total number of सी ऑफ आई इन अ डी, दैट मीन्स डी मेरा टोटल डेटा सेट है, टोटल डेटा सेट में सी ऑफ आई, दैट मीन्स सी ऑफ आई के कितने एट्रीब्यूट्स वैल्यूज है। सो लेट से C1 C2 C3 तीन क्लासेस है, तीनों का सम 14 आएगा, राइट। तो C1 विल बी लेट से 4, C2 विल बी लेट से 5, C3 विल बी लेट से 5। सो A of I divided by CI comma D, that means number of tuples C of I in a total data set. So A of I is a continuous valued, अगर continuous valued है तो ये करना है, कैटेगोरिकल है तो वो करना है। So continuous valued में you will going to have probability which is usually computed based on Gaussian distribution. So मुझे Gaussian distribution use करना है, where I have to calculate the mu, that is the mean, where I'll calculate the standard deviation. Once it is calculated, I'll going to get this. So in this formula, mu and gamma, that summation sigma is represented by using this. So ये फॉर्मूला आप यूज करोगे। सो दिस P of x of k C of I, क्योंकि ये रेंज है, गॉशन आपको ऐसी रेंज देता है तो ये रेंज है, तो उस रेंज में आपको बता देगा कि यहाँ पे ये एक्चुअली अवेलेबल है। एंड पी के इज दिस। सो एट लास्ट पी एक्स ऑफ आई जे इज दिस सिंपल फॉर्मूला विच इज अ गॉशन फॉर्मूला, नथिंग एल्स। सो अगर नेव बायस मैं इस ट्रेनिंग डेटा सेट पे लगाता हूँ, विच वी हैव ऑलरेडी सीन इट, एक ही डेटा सेट को मैंने रखा है रेफरेंस के लिए, सो इट विल बी इजी फॉर यू। सो वंस अगेन वी आर हैविंग अ क्लासेस यस एंड नो, ठीक है। डेटा टू बी क्लासिफाइड एज एक्स, ठीक है, एक्स इज माई डेटा, व्हाट इज माई डेटा, एज इज लेस देन 30, ठीक है, ये मेरा इनपुट है, ये आपका इनपुट है, एक्स लेस देन 30 न्यू सैंपल, इनकम इज इक्वल टू मीडियम, स्टूडेंट इज इक्वल टू एस एंड क्रेडिट रेटिंग इज इक्वल टू फेयर। अभी इससे मुझे निकालना है यस या नो, राइट। माई सैंपल इज दिस, so I'll start working on the sample, I'll calculate a PC of I, ओके, क्लास की प्रोबेबिलिटी निकालना है सबसे पहले मुझे, ओके। सो मेरे पास क्लास की प्रोबेबिलिटी, मेरे पास दो ही क्लासेस है, यस एंड नो। हाउ मेनी सैंपल्स आई डू हैव, टोटल मेरे पास 14 सैंपल्स है, राइट, आई थिंक इसमें 14 सैंपल्स है, 2 4 6 8 10 12 14 सैंपल्स, ठीक है। एंड आउट ऑफ दैट 4 सैंपल्स 5 वाला नो है एंड 9 एस है, ठीक है, वो निकाल लिया मैंने, क्लास की प्रोबेबिलिटी निकल गई मेरी, बिकॉज ये मुझे चाहिए, सो आई गॉट दिस। देन आई हैव टू कंप्यूट व्हाट पी एक्स सी ऑफ आई फॉर ईच क्लास के लिए एक्स क्या मेरा इनपुट था, ठीक है। अभी उस इनपुट में क्या क्या है, लेट्स, उस इनपुट में है एज, एज के लिए करना है, तो एज के लिए मैं 3 बार कैलकुलेट करूंगा क्योंकि वो कैटेगोरिकल है 3 क्लासेस में। इनकम, इनकम की जितनी भी क्लासेस होंगी, इसमें कितनी क्लासेस है, 3 क्लासेस है, तो 3 के लिए करना पड़ेगा। स्टूडेंट यस और नो 2 के लिए करना पड़ेगा, क्रेडिट रेटिंग फेयर ये 2 के लिए करना पड़ेगा, ओके। सो 2 + 2 + 3 + 3 यानी 3 + 3 6 एंड 4 10 इक्वेशंस आएंगे आपकी। सो फॉर फर्स्ट क्लास एज लेस देन इक्वल्स टू 30, आई गॉट अ प्रोबेबिलिटी, बाइंग एस उसके साथ जाना पड़ेगा, राइट। सो 2 डिवाइडेड बाय 9, बाइंग नो, राइट, लेस देन 30 बाइंग नो की प्रोबेबिलिटी इतनी आएंगी। देन इनकम, राइट, सो इनकम मीडियम यस या नो दिस, then income medium no is this probability, then student yes buying yes, this is the probability, then student yes buying no, this is the probability, then a credit rating fair yes, this is the probability, then a credit rating fair, this is the probability, and then total, वो सब इंडिपेंडेंटली हमने निकाल लिया, राइट। नहीं नहीं, एक मिनट, वो नो के लिए नहीं आएगा, हमारा इनपुट क्या है उसमें देख लेते हैं हम, ठीक है। स्टूडेंट यस दिया है, ओके। तो इसमें कैसा होगा, एज लेस देन 30 यस नो 2 इक्वेशन, इनकम मीडियम यस नो 2 इक्वेशन, स्टूडेंट यस यस नो 2 इक्वेशन, और इसके लिए टोटल 8 इक्वेशंस आएंगे हमारी। सो वी गॉट 8 इक्वेशंस हियर, 2 3 4 5 6 7 और ये 8 आगे, और ये फाइनल विद ऑल कॉम्बिनेशंस, x is given this 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 and this। तो इसमें क्या करना है, just we have to make a multiplication of कौन सा with respect to whatever that are there, एज लेस देन दिस, ठीक है, इनकम मीडियम, सो इसमें कौन सा लेंगे ये, सबका यस 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 वाला लेंगे ये, ठीक है, this into this into this into this, so you get a final probability which is associated of x on a pertaining to a class C of I. सो ये यस वाला हो गया, अभी वैसे ही नो वाला भी निकालना पड़ेगा उसी सेम के लिए, सो नो वाला है वट एवर इज रिमेनिंग 0.6 इंटू 0.4 इंटू 0.2 इंटू 0.4, राइट, सो यू गॉट नो वाला, and then after that whatever you got which is getting multiplied with the PCI जो आपने ऊपर कैलकुलेट करके रखा है, one which is with respect to yes and one which is with respect to no, so ये yes वाला है which is 0.28 and this is a no वाला which is 0.25, so out of that what you can predict क्या होना चाहिए, ये फाइनल आउटकम है आपका, so as per this calculation it is likely to purchase, it is likely to purchase because आपके पास दोनों प्रोबेबिलिटी आ गई, यस वाली भी आ गई, नो वाली भी आ गई, नो वाली इज वेरी स्मॉल and yes wall is having sufficient 0.28, so in that the data sample that has been given, it fits in the category that it likely to purchase the computer, so therefore x belongs to a class yes, okay, so in that way Bayesian calculates and for every category it perform the calculation and try to give the result, so अगर इसमें अगर आपके क्लासेस ज्यादा होंगे तो इसको टाइम लगेगा क्योंकि इसमें कंप्यूटेशन हेवी कंप्यूटेशन है, मल्टीप्लीकेशन एंड ऑल एडिशंस विल बी देयर एंड इफ देयर विल बी अ मोर एंड मोर पैरामीटर्स आर देयर, सो इन दैट केस इट विल बी ट्रेनिंग टाइम ज्यादा हो सकता है और ज्यादा कुछ नहीं, ओके, सो शैल आई स्टॉप हियर, ओके, so if any questions are there you can ask, any doubt, anything else, I try to cover only classification clustering के लिए time लगेगा because that one topic itself require minimum 2 hours, even data analytics वाला उसको भी कम से कम 2 hours चाहिए, classification not 2 hours, minimum 3 and 3.5 hours so that we can have some hands on also, and then that clustering वाला also require more because they itself have lots of different techniques. Okay, so I want to share information related to Triple IT that at Triple IT we offer internship to students. So if you are sending your student for internship here and there, so you can also look into Triple IT or you can consider Triple IT. I can't say you compulsory to send, but the standards are high. That is the first thing. I used to give so many internship to the student, looking into their profiles and their interest and whatever the past experience they have. As per that, till this point, 10 plus internship I have done, and all were performed well. Some they have not done, but expectation is that they have to produce some kind of knowledge. Because student are इसलिए आते हैं जो certificate चाहिए, जैसे ही बोलता है certificate, I don't want the people who want only for the sake of certificate. Certificate will be there, but there has to be a good result. So at Triple IT we offer 2 month internship and 6 month internship for this. So that mostly that is a research only, where they have to some problem statement is given to them and they have to work on that. So I think that is also considered the internship as per your institutions. It's not mandatory that it is only a industry internship, but it has to be an internship in some other organization. So I used to work in extensively. I'm working in deep learning domain where extensively I work on cancer detection and other I used to work in information security and then the parallel computing and I used to work in quantum computing. So these are the domain in which I work. So if anyway I'm able to help you, so I'll be fortunate for that.
Thank you, sir, for your very informative and in-depth session. On behalf of CSER AI department, thank you very much for accepting our invitation and giving such an informative session today. Thank you so much.